Hello, good morning, and welcome to the AM show here on the Joy News channel. It's a Thursday, and by the grace of God, we've gathered again. Like I always say, a man is who he thinketh he is. So, what are you thinking of yourself? As you step out today, see yourself as a winner, and you will win. Good morning, and welcome to a fantastic day. Now, we'll begin the show with the news review. We'll be having the NDC parliamentary candidate-elect for South Tone, Maxwell Lukuto, will be our guest for us to go into what the papers will be reporting today. Now, we'll bring you AM Sport. Muftau Nabila will be joining us with latest from the world of sport. What's happening with regards to transfers? Which team is buying which player? And of course, what's happening in the various teams. When Muftau joins us, we'll have the latest from the world of sport. And then we'll bring you the big stories. Today, we shift our attention to the flag bearership race of the governing New Patriotic Party. Our guest is former Great Minister, Dr. Nortsu Kotoe. What's his plan for the party and the nation? He's been speaking with Joy News editor Elton Broby. So we'll be having that conversation here. Now, after this, we'll also bring you an interaction with the latest on, the approved books for use by the basic schools. Yesterday, the NACA went around to visit some of the schools and to interact with the teachers on the books they are using. It came to light that some of the books they're using have not been approved. And NACA said they were checking on that to ensure that the teachers get the right materials to teach. But what are the teachers using to teach now? We'll tell you what they are using. After this, we'll have AM Business, courtesy EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. And we'll be bringing you an interaction that has been done by Joy Business. Today, our focus on that is on the 10% betting tax introduced by government. James Eshen has been interacting with people who will be bringing that to you, after which we'll speak to Dr. Eric Boachi Iyadom, a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Accounting and Finance at the UPSA. Now, the Northeast region has also experienced some floods which have affected the people there. Throughout the week, we've been going there to bring you latest from that particular development. Today, we'll be up north to tell you the latest on that as well. And of course, you know that this show is made with you in mind. So your thought is valued. So what do you make of the discussions we'll be having on the show, particularly on our big stories? Would love to have your say when the time comes. You can call us or join our social media page on Facebook. It's Joy News. Leave a comment on the subject we put in there so that when the time comes, we'll be reading your comments to the rest of the world. That's how the show will go, and I'm grateful that you've allowed us into your space. So you could be in the home. Thanks for allowing us into your home. You could be in the office. Wherever you are, we are grateful to you for allowing us to be part of your morning. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. It's an honor for me to welcome you on behalf of the entire team. Good morning again, and welcome aboard. Let's keep the flight running. It's up next is the AM News. You stay with us. So we start the news from Jakobu in the Ashanti region, where the police are alleged to have shot and killed two suspects attempting to escape custody. The two suspects were being held for unlawful possession of weapons, but families of the deceased have refuted the claims that the suspect attempted to break jail. And Ajima has more in the following report.
Police, acting on intelligence, arrested two, Ajman and Amwatin, for their alleged involvement in armed robbery. According to the police, 3 unspent cartridges were found on one of the suspects, Amwatin, after a thorough search. 3 guns were subsequently retrieved from the suspects, together with boxes of unspent cartridges. Sources within the police allege the two suspects who had joined the police team for a search of their rooms attempted to escape, forcing the police to shoot them. The family of one of the suspects, Amoaten, has dispelled the story of the police, insisting the two were deliberately killed. Abu Regal, his brother.
Why do you arrest a suspect and take him back to a different location and kill him? It doesn't happen. The police later conveyed their bodies to the morgue. We don't understand this issue. We want them to provide answers.
Mother of Amoaten, Comfort Menu, dismissed allegations of involvement of her son in robbery.
Now, me fly me ban line. President ba ko peke mini president ko sie phone ni pa wona nsem no metima ka che wonwa wa peke kwa so ga jam say me ban yan roba ni ento oni a president for.
When I called my son's number, a policeman answered, telling me my son was shot in a robbery. My son is into small-scale mining. He's not an armed robber. I am shocked at this development.
Me ba cho me ba netra hon galam say aduma na ese nyoma nya gu site aduma ye go do kura boy kura da ho me ba me nimu da so wa bokro no ya nro ba ni sa me nimu da so anro ba aduma no we fi say me ni galam say aduma ya ese nyoma nya nta de nya gu site won si enti me ba cho me ba ndie me nimu da.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Here in Accra, bad roads and uncompleted drains are causing severe flooding anytime it rains, resulting in older people being kept in their houses. This is the story of Ofanko Veterinary, a suburb of the capital, Accra. Residents are unhappy about government's neglect of the poor road that has plagued them for years. They want government to complete a drain they believe causes flooding in the area anytime it rains. Joy News has been there, and this is what our cameras captured.
Please repair the road for me because I'm already dying. Anytime I return from the hospital, my health deteriorates because of this road.
That was 85-year-old grandmother Emilia Hayford speaking to me after she had returned from the hospital. For her, visiting the hospital can only be possible if she gets a neighbor to carry her to a nearby car, else she cannot go. Her daughter, Tama Hayford, says this has become necessary due to the destruction of their road.
Carrying her to the car will take about 30 minutes. And to the car, she has to relax before the driver even sets off. By the time she gets to the hospital, her BP is way, way, way high. So she has to be detained. I mean, going to the hospital and back, it's a very, very big problem for her and for us. This morning, she was crying. How can it be? It's not good at all.
She says this depression situation causes her mother to sometimes wish she's no more.
We went to the hospital when Tuesday. She told the doctor that she wishes, and she had to give her depression medicine, which is so bad. And my mom, she's depressed. She's very, very, very depressed. So please, whoever we have to talk to do whatever, I mean, I'll break down. I think the little we've said, the government, not the road minister, should listen to our plea. This is not the first time we've done this.
This road you see behind me was once a bustling street connecting this area, that's Veterinary, and the Ofanko barrier. But today, it's been left to a pale shadow of its former self. Something you can best describe as an uncompleted open drain. The residents are saying one thing: the government needs to act and must act quick.
I think we are getting worried. There are aged in the community, aged men and women. How do they go to the hospitals? How do they attend to their medical situations? The school peoples that trek these areas, their lives are always in danger. You are out there working. You are afraid of the fate of your wife, your husband, your kids. It's very pathetic.
The residents say they are tired of the flooding situation that occurs anytime it rains as a result of the uncompleted drainage, which has led to the destruction of their road, and their pleas to the government have also fallen on deaf ears.
Papa, area
We are going through a lot of challenges here. People have left their homes because of these floods. When it rains for just 10 minutes, several sources of wastewater pass through this place. The road has now turned into Alajo gutter. We plead with government to intervene. One day, a pupil fell into one of the gutters here, and it was just fortunate that I was around to save her. Our older people are home because they cannot come out. If sick people want to go to the hospital, they have to be carried. This cannot continue. Oh, the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment says it has discovered that some basic schools are resorting to unapproved textbooks due to government's failure to supply the textbooks on time. NACA has been touring some schools in Accra. Jacqueline and Sumayeboa has more in this report.
Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, has begun a thorough assessment and scrutiny of the proposed textbooks for basic schools in the country. Director General of NACA, Professor Edward Appiah, who led a team to visit some of the schools in Accra, revealed that some of the teachers were resorting to unapproved textbooks and were relying on sole authors.
Of course, there was one or two teachers who were using some books which were not approved. But it was for the teachers. They said that they are using it to help in their preparatory, which is fine. And so we encourage people, teachers, even parents, to make sure that the books that are being used, they check to see whether surely it has been approved or not. The ones that they are not in, and as I just indicated, the minister have tasked NACA to get the data for every school, especially now that we are doing NST, we've been doing P6, we've been doing DHS. We need to have the data so that it can be used to do the distribution, because it's sad when the materials have been procured, the textbooks have been procured, yet the schools think that they don't have them. And the minister is worried, and he has taxed, even it's an adult tax, but we'll make sure that we get the data so that the supplies will go directly to the schools and we'll cut short these issues of we don't have them, even though it's been supplied.
Head teacher of the Manche Taki 1 primary school, Belinda Dede Sefako, indicated that even though the government has supplied some of the textbooks, the ones available are not enough, and this is affecting the students.
In a way, I would say yes, because the children needed to, at least when they see pictures of things, it will help them. When they see the pictures and they are able to read too, it helps them. The teachers jot down a few points for them, but if they have the books, it will help them. The curriculum started in 2019. It was simple. Yes, we've had this challenge, but they've solved it to a point. So, by providing some of the books for us last year. The other three have not been provided, so at all, yes.
Professor Edward Appiah revealed some measures which are underway to ensure unapproved textbooks are off school and bookshops.
The team is working on them. In the next set of books that are coming, that is what we are going to do. One of the things that we are even trying to do is to avoid sole authorship. We think that for the textbooks to be enriched, you need to have more than 2 or 3 authors. So you have an RME, then that's one person has authored it. I don't think that it helps in that. So the new things that are coming up, the board have approved that henceforth books that are going to be approved or published, they are supposed to be authored by 2, 3, apart from other contributors. So even though you're going to have about 3 authors, you also have other contributors going through, and all these will have to appear in their book for us to verify how the book is.
This exercise is expected to continue in the upcoming days to ensure various basic schools in Ghana have the approved textbooks. For Joy News, Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah.
In a bid to strengthen food security and boost the nation's aquaculture industry, the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development has announced its commitment to elevating aquaculture development to new heights. According to the Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Mavis Kumsen, government is dedicated to investing in the aquaculture sector to augment the production of fish to provide the protein needs of the country. She was speaking at the graduation ceremony of the first cohort of students trained on aquaculture at the Amrehia Aquaculture Center. Richard Koyakun has more in the following report.
And so it's a way to make sure that we bridge the gap for demand and supply. That is the aquaculture sector to use to bridge the gap. And so we are bringing up these students who have had first-hand experience at the university. And so they are here to do the practicals, more intensive one for 3 months. Then they can go out there and establish themselves. We are looking at maybe giving them some startup initiative capital so that they can be on their own.
Speaking at the graduation ceremony at the Amrehia Aquaculture Center, Mavis Kumsen expressed the determination of government to harness the potential of aquaculture in the country. She says the goal is to diversify the sources of animal protein and decrease the country's reliance on imported fish, contributing to national self-sufficiency and reducing pressure on natural fish stocks.
Apart from this Amahia one, we are also putting up the Anomabo Fisheries College, which will soon be completed. The Amahia one is basically for aquaculture, but with the Anomabo one, we also they learn fishing gear and a whole lot of process in the fisheries. So that one we will deal with the fishers themselves. This one is only for the graduates. That's the category we are taking here. But with the Anomabo one, whether you are a graduate or not, so long as you have some experience in fishing, you come there and then build on whatever you have. So we are trying to expand the aquaculture sector because we believe that that is the key to sustainable fisheries in our country. And the whole world is now moving towards aquaculture sector. Yeah.
She hinted that the Anomabo Fisheries College would be completed by the end of the year to augment the fishing needs of the country.
I would say we are about 95% completed. We have done the boreholes. We are now waiting on the national grid for water and then the electricity. And we are also building fence for the school. And also, what is even hindering the starting is the accommodation for the principal and then the lecturers. As we speak, they have started with the accommodation. I believe by close of year, the accommodation will be completed. And next year, possibly we'll commission.
The Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development has indicated that its approach to elevating aquaculture development involves implementing policies that promote responsible and environmentally friendly aquaculture practices. The graduates were commissioned by the minister to help propagate the development of aquaculture in the country. Richard Koyakun, Joy News, Accra.
Now, spraying machines are crucial for effective farming. However, it is labor intensive, particularly for the elderly. Though there are electrically powered spraying machines on the market, it's imported, heavy, and expensive. But there's good news. A student of the Sunyani Technical University have come with a triple power spraying machine. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah speaks with the developers Theresa Bia and Ali Farida for Tech Thursday.
We decided to do this triple power spraying machine to help farmers, because looking at the already existing one, you need to add more pressure on it before it can operate. But looking at our grandparents, they don't don't have the strength to do that. So we decided to build this triple power spraying machine to solve that problem, because this one, there is no need for you to apply pressure on it. It uses 3 different power sources, which is the dry cells, the rechargeable batteries, and the solar panel too. You can connect with the solar panel here, it will work. If you don't want to use the solar panel too, you use the rechargeable batteries, that one too, it will work, and as well as the dry cell.
If you want to start it, there is a key here. Then you switch it on. Then you press the trigger. Though there is water inside, but I can still lift it. It's not heavy, it's made up of hard plastic. And the belts are also tough. It's not like the one in the market with the tiny belt, whereby if you back it, it will be causing pains to your shoulders. The belts are very tough. You can back it for a long period of time and you will not become tired. And you can spray for a longer time. Alright, this one is having the same capacity as the already existing one in the market. But the difference is this one is lighter as compared to the one in the market. In the sense that this one is made up of plastic. And the weight is 1.5 kilos, and the other one, the already existing one in the market, is 4 kilograms. This one is using lithium-ion battery. That makes it very light in weight. And the one in the market is using lead-acid battery, which makes it very heavier. So, and if you can, the bolt too is very tough. It's not the one in the market, the bolts are light. So if you back it, it will be causing pains to your shoulders. But this one, the bolts are very tough. If you back it, you doesn't experience any pains in your shoulders.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
And peoples in 3 deprived communities in the Nadoli-Kalio district of the Upper West region are having a sigh of relief following the commissioning of 2 kindergarten and junior high school blocks. The peoples as young as 6 years have to walk 4 to 5 kilometers daily from their communities to the nearest community in order to access a basic education. Rafik Salam reports from Toyaga.
Education is a right. Schools are the platforms for which this right is enhanced. A school is capable of facilitating this right when adequate infrastructures are available. On the contrary, across the length and breadth of the country, schools right from the kindergarten to the senior high level are bedeviled with infrastructure challenges, a challenge that keeps making it difficult. One of such communities is Toyaga, located in the Nadoli-Kalio district of the Upper West region. It has a population of a little over 500 people and has no basic school. As a result of that, children from the community who has interest in pursuing the academic ladder has to walk to the nearest community at Pazier in order to fulfill that dream. The case is even worse during the rainy season. There's always a hiatus in the education of the children, as most of the valleys are flooded with water, spilling into the streets and cutting them from not only schools but from the rest of the district. Concerned about the plight of the pupils, the Nadoli-Kalio District Assembly, led by its Chief Executive, Catherine Thierry Lankono, through the District Development Facility, DDF, constructed and commissioned a kindergarten block for the community.
Typically, this is one of the deprived communities. It has no single infrastructure. And so to get a government infrastructure in the form of education, a school facility, is very, very keen and very important to the community. I am urging the community to support DES so the school will grow. We should allow the kids to be in school. We shouldn't divert them to Kayaye and Galamsey. Education is more paramount. Once you get to education, you can get all that you want to acquire. Cutting your education short because of a zinc-roofed house is not the best. So I'm urging the community to help us to help them.
The chiefs and people of the community were grateful to the assembly for coming to their aid. It is not only Toyaga that has this challenge. The situation at Chango appears to be a carbon copy of Toyaga. Chango has both primary and junior high school, but without kindergarten, forcing them to sit under trees to learn. Furthermore, Penitubo community has no junior school block. As a result, the 40 students in the junior school depends on this deplorable structure to learn. Therefore, many challenges will not be a thing of the past, as the district chief executive, Catherine Lankono, also commissioned a kindergarten block in a junior school in Tango and Penitubo respectively, with the funding from the District Development Facility, DDF.
These are all rural communities that have the need for infrastructure, especially for a community like Penitubo. It's a growing, fast-growing community. And the distance between the community and the next community where they used to attend junior high school was so far away, and that deterred the children from going to school. So it is on this backdrop that together with the assembly member and the party executives, we decided that the community deserved a junior high school. And so today we are presenting the junior high school to the community to encourage them to go to school, because traveling the far distances was a hindrance, especially to the girl child. After a while, they felt lazy to go to school. But once the school is now in their community, I'm hoping that it will encourage them to go to school so that they can complete the junior high school and move further to the next stage successfully.
Nadoli Keleo District Director of Education, Kutina Christopher, thanked the District Assembly for coming to their aid.
My concern is that we should ensure that we don't misuse this structure by not sending our children to school, not leaving them to stay in school and complete. Then they can go further to other institutions. I want to appeal to you and assure the Assembly that now that they are going to hand over this school to us, we will make maximum use of it by bringing our children to school, let them stay there and complete.
Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam, Tuyaga.
And in Accra, I am Samuel Kojo Brace. That's how we wrap up today's bulletin. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. Up next is the news review segment. Stay with us. All right, so welcome back to the AM show. It's time for us to look into what the papers are reporting this morning. I have the Daily Graphic newspaper. I have the Business Finder. I also have with me the Daily Guide newspaper and the New Crusading Guide. My guest this morning is NDC parliamentary candidate for South Tong, Maxwell Lukuto. Chief, good morning. How are you doing? Max, kindly unmute for me so I can hear you, on what you're telling me.
Good morning, my brother. How are you doing?
I am good. I'm good. Just that, it's been a long, long time since we met,
Yeah, sure. It's been.
Anyway.
The has not been too good, and that is reflective in my voice. My voice is not too clear, but I'm sure we can manage.
Okay. It shall be well. Yes, this is fine. I'm told you are on a campaign to get the Sogakope Bridge fixed. Is that it? How is it going?
Yeah, sure. That has been a campaign that has been on for over 6 years. At the point, we had some expansion joints damage. We have the bitumen surface around these joints cracked, and so some peeled off. And so in the bid to try to dodge them, inadvertently, people, motorbikes, riders, cars knock them and they rush into each other, and it's resulted in a lot of casualties on the bridge. We tried working on that for some time, and the regional minister got a team of people to fix it somehow.
Okay.
It's resolved the issue to some extent, but inadvertently, it's affecting the health of the bridge itself. We're still praying and hoping that they will come to do the complete renovation that they have promised us over the years that never started. I must commend them for at least coming to fix the street lights on the bridge, but the surface itself has not been properly done. Okay. We are just hoping that they will come and do that as well.
All right. I wish you all the best. We pray that the bridge is fixed for the people of South Tone. So let's go into the papers now and start from the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the front page it says, government vindicated in a Japa deal. That's according to the NPP. It comes with a photograph of the National Chairman of the party, Stephen Ayesu, in team. Tourism Fiesta, December NGH to spread outside Accra. Okay, now ahead of ECOWAS Defense Chiefs meeting, democracy must reign in Niger. That's according to security experts. We'll get into that. Youth-focused agriculture program launched. Okay, that's something that I would want us to go into. NACA QR code mechanism to check approved textbooks rolls out in September. Okay, so let's get into the papers now. The details of the issues. Retired military officer Commander Kweku Kakrebesi has said that the containing military junta in Niger could deter other military adventurers in the West African sub-region. Quote, militarily, an intervention force must enjoy the support of the people, otherwise it would be fighting two enemies. Whatever the dilemma, containing the current situation could help to deter future adventurers, in my view, unquote, he said. Speaking to the Daily Graphic in Accra yesterday, Commander Kakrebesi, however, said dialogue appeared a good way forward, particularly since the junta appeared to be enjoying some degree of support from the public. Now, his comment comes as ECOWAS military chiefs start a two-day meeting in Accra today in the latest effort by the sub-regional bloc to find a solution to the recent military coup in Niger. Mr. Lukoto, I mean, the whole of the week we've been discussing Niger because of the impending intervention that ECOWAS is contemplating. What do you make of this call by the security experts going forward? I mean, the meeting is starting today. What do you make of this, and what would be your suggestion?
Yeah, sure. So, W. Kakrebesi happens to be a friend. He's from our constituency. I got that to be specific. And I had time to do that with him. He's a fine gentleman. And be a security expert, his views must be respected. In local parlance, the Takachi kind of thing that we see ECOWAS trying to do in Niger, most people have advised. I think I also listening to Obasanjo, the former president of Nigeria, also advising against such move. I think that some of these things should be left with the experts to advise on. And so as an expert, I think that they should listen to him. It's democracy we want. And so if some presidents of ours in some states think that the people don't matter, and then they keep increasing their tenure in office, they twist the constitution to favor them, and the likes of the Togolese president, Yadima, and the likes of Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire, they have had a stint of all these things in their country. And sometimes it's nauseating to hear them being the ones who are advising ECOWAS to deploy ECOMOG into Niger. It's so unfortunate. And so I think that now that they are meeting again in Ghana, they should look at the needs of the people. They should understand their plight and try to meet them halfway. The people, I'm sure, are not sleeping on their house. They are party ready. And we know that Guinea, Mali, and Burkina Faso and some other military around are ready to help them. And so, like you say, if you don't take time, it's going to be a kind of world war in West Africa, which I'm sure is going to affect Ghana as well. There were rumors that a military plane has been brought down in Niger. Whether it's true or not is another issue. It only means that the junta in Niger are party ready for anybody who wants to take them for granted. I think it is time we talk to them behind the scenes and see how quickly we can bring some semblance of democracy back to Niger. We've also heard that they are going to prosecute him for high treason and all those things. I'm sure that once they talk to them behind the scenes, we can bring some sense of semblance of democracy, and also make sure that we don't lose a lot of lives as it were, if we are going to meet them put for put in our Ghanaian parlance. So I think it's a good call, and we should listen and see how best we can address all these issues behind us, not necessarily through the barrel or the gun.
But I think that all of this is being, thought about because ECOWAS wants to send a strong message across the sub-region that enough is enough. We're having too many coup d'etats in the sub-region. So if we want them to limit how much we want to involve the military, what then should ECOWAS do differently to ensure that we're able to stem the tide in all of these coup d'etats that are happening?
Yeah, so in as much as they want to send a strong signal to us in West Africa that nobody does that and goes scot-free, I'm sure they should go beyond that and make sure that the situations that lead to some of these things happening are curtailed or are nipped in the bud. And so, yes, of course, we shouldn't just allow anybody and everybody take a democratically elected government for granted, stage the coups and go scot-free. But I think that in as much as we cry for the chick, we should also cry for the hawk as well. And so it should be a win-win for all of us. It is our fear that once they go in the way they want to, more lives will be lost, and that will not be too good for us as a people. And so, yes, there should be some negotiations. They should be met halfway. I'm not sure they are so stupid to quote. Look at the support they are having from their people. That should show to all of us that the people are tired with the kind of governance they are getting. And so the West should take their veil off us and allow us to have some kind of freedom. If you look at the issues they are chronically, it's high time France really look at some of these things and sort them out. And so, yes, they want to send a strong signal to the rest of the country that nobody can just wake up one day and take a military action against a democratically elected government and go scot-free. But I'm sure that what causes the issue should also be looked at. And I think it's high time behind the scenes they talk to each other. The peer review that they claim they've been doing, I don't know how well they do these things and whether they are also able to prevail on some of their people who go the extra miles to make sure that they extend their tenure of office, and then to the disadvantage of the generality of the people who elected them.
All right, so that's it there. Now, if you turn to page 17 of the Daily Graphic newspaper, it says Youth-Focused Agriculture Program launched. It's a story written by Timothy Nembe. Rethink, an initiative that seeks to change the mindset of the youth towards agriculture and agribusiness, has been launched in Accra. Spearheaded by Cerebral Farms Limited, a project of the Office of the 2022 National Best Farmer, the initiative will roll out mentorship sessions for young people to build their capacity on modern technology and best farming practices in the agricultural value chain. It will also serve as an advocacy platform for the youth in agriculture by engaging policymakers and industry players to implement policies that would empower young people and also facilitate their access to finance. The initiative was unveiled yesterday where strategic partners, Graphic Communications Group Limited, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research all pledged their commitment to help change the face of agriculture in the country. You are in an area where, I'm sure, I don't know much about your constituency, but farming will be quite, the mainstay for a lot of people there. We know that over the years, the youth have not got that attraction to farming because of several reasons. How do we go about making agriculture attractive to the youth of Ghana?
Yeah, sure. So I think that this thing should be driven by policy. This youth in agri thing has earned my dad a nickname. He's called Old in Agri. Okay. Once, yes, at their workshop, he's been one of the best farmers in the district, and he even had award as best district farmer on, I think, 2 or so occasions. And so in one of the seminars where the youth in Agri mantra was being trumpeted, he woke up and said, these things every day they say the youth in Agri, youth in Agri. Meanwhile, you don't see that a lot of them going into Agri. So he thinks that they should change their name to Old in Agri. So that has been his nickname up to now. We have always outlined the challenges that we have had growing up as youth. and wanting to take up agric as a vocation or as a profession. The policy direction towards agric has not been very friendly. You see us going through school, and once they want to punish you, they'll send you to the farm to go and weed. And so most people see farming as a punishment. And sometimes because of the unreliable nature of rainfall pattern in Ghana, most of them go into it. Sometimes you would have to take loans and start. And if the rains don't come the way you expect, then you lose everything. And then if you have to do irrigation too, it is very expensive, especially when you get the land from the river. Of course, you are not wrong if you say that my constituency or my district should be more into agric. Yes, we have the Volta River flowing into the sea through our constituency or our district. But the challenge we have is that there are not enough canals to send this Volta River or the water to the hinterland so that anybody anywhere can go into all-season farming so that you can pump from the canals into your land and have the farm. And unfortunately, the land that are close to the river are mostly used for hospitality and residential facilities. And so those that are close, you can use them for the farming. Those that are far up, you don't have the canals to be able to do the all-season farming. It makes it very expensive. And because of the unreliability of the rainfall too, people are not encouraged to go in. And so you go in and you make a loss. You remember Kennedy Ajepo once said that if you want to be poor, go into farming. It's unfortunate. Meanwhile, farming should be one of the things that should attract us.
It is, and I mean, people who are into it today, who are doing the right things, are really enjoying the benefit of it. It depends on how you approach farming, really.
Yeah, of course. So if it's technology driven, and then we have a lot of machinery attached to it. Unfortunately, we have most of these products also, when imported from outside, are being taxed heavily. At a point, we took all these taxes, but they've been introduced again. And so these are all incentives that do not drive the agric. In my constituency, after I won, I went through some of the few farms around my place, the Gato farm and also the Agro Brazilian farm. They are faced with a lot of challenges, and they told me that most of their equipments are being taxed, and so they are unable to bring as much as they should to expand these farms and get a lot of the youth also employed. The Gato farm, for instance, has not gotten electricity which they can use for most of their pumping stations. So they rely on generators to power their pumping station, which is so much of a cost to them. What is stopping government from extending electricity to these people so that they can expand these farms and get a lot of the youth employed, and so that they can pay back a lot of the taxes that we need to government? We are just not looking at this sector as a viable sector, and I think that our policies have not been properly shaped to get a lot of this youth into agric. And so if they are now launching it, it's a good thing. But let's go back and look at our policies that drive agriculture. Once we look at them and we make sure that they work well, I'm sure a lot of the youth who are idling on the street, even though most of them have taken to betting, they would also want to look at some of those things and see the good it brings to them. Once somebody goes in and comes out with good stories, other people would also want to venture. I know a few of my youth who went to agri colleges and are ready to do some of these things. But you do it today, you lose, the next year you lose. And you have the bank chasing after you to pay back the loans. How you encourage to go in or even get some other people to join you, do it. So if they are launching it, it's a good thing. But we should go back to the tables and make sure that we put the right policies on the table and make sure we attract them and give them the loans and the investment that they need. Most of these policies come, but behind the scene, it's fraught with a lot of unfavorable things happening in the offices. Some of these things happen, and people behind the scene look at this fertilizer that was being sold or distributed to us. People took it, went out, sold it, and made huge profits out of it, and we are back to square zero. So I think that when these things come, they are good policies, but the implementation becomes a challenge, and people at the end of the day, they just make a huge profit out of it and leave everything back to square zero. I'm sure it's a good policy that should be pursued.
All right, and we have people like John Dumelo and all of, John Dumelo, Senor Hossi, and a lot more young people who have veered into the sector and really can tell the benefit. All we need are the right things to be done. Irrigation, for example, should be tackled really. It should be a national initiative to extend
Sure.
irrigation systems to some of these smallholder farms. In your area, you talk about having rivers, but we are building accommodation facilities along it. So we can then, through irrigation systems, draw the water close to the farms from that source so they can use. And I'm sure that if we do that, we could then engage in all year round, cropping, which of course will bring us the needed benefits than to rely on rain-fed agriculture we've done all of this year. So,
so exactly what I'm saying, that we should channel this water to the hinterland. I remember the last town council of chiefs that I led went to the German embassy to go and see how best that can be done. We are still talking about these things, and I'm sure that we will not relent in our efforts to make sure that we channel this water to the hinterland through canals, so that a lot more of the people can draw this water for the irrigation farming all year round.
Well, you are an MP in the making. You are just waiting for the day to come so that you are declared. So we expect that when you get into Parliament, you ensure that these things are done for us, the youth of Ghana, to tap into the prospects in agri. So when you come, we'll be keeping an eye on you to see what you do for us.
Yeah, I'll be grateful, and I'll need your support for all of us.
All right. Okay. Okay. All right. But your party is bereaved. Araba Togo, right? The National Executive Committee member of the
NDC. Unfortunately, is gone. And my condolences to the whole Yezu family, the Umbrella family, the Green Army. We have lost a staunch member, and she will forever be.
We in the Western region call her Auntie Araba Togo. She's a very, very hard woman,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've lost her.
She together with the other one who also passed about 2 years ago, Ama Benyuado. They are the women soldiers for the Green.
Yeah.
Yes. We remember the fondly fight they have had on behalf of this party. May she rest in perfect peace.
Amen. Well, let's turn to the Daily Graphic, a Daily Guide newspaper. It says NIA sacks 10 officers over extortion. NDC incites youth against 10% betting tax. Team Baumia launches tech campaign. Rethink Agric national best farmer. Nigerian. Okay, this is Nigerian, jailed 15 years for human trafficking. Let's go into the details. It says, okay, this is in your own, so I may probably have to jump over it. But let's see. I want us to deal with the NIA story. Now, it says the National Identification Authority has dismissed 10 staff members after investigations and established their culpability in misconduct and extortion of funds from Ghana card applicants. The investigation is also revealed that the said officers violated the NIA's standard operating procedures and applicable public service rules while performing their duties as public officials in charge of registration activities. The conduct of the officers who were stationed at NIA's headquarters in Accra were investigated by the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service. They were taken through the standard procedures of investigation, which included the interdiction of the affected officers and the appointment of a disciplinary committee of inquiry to provide a hearing for each officer in accordance with the law. A statement issued by the Corporate Affairs Directorate said management subsequently accepted the disciplinary committee's recommendations. According to a statement, the allegations against the dismissed officers included demanding and accepting unauthorized fees from Ghana card applicants, as well as manipulating the registration system for personal gain. How does this come to you?
Yeah, sure. It's one of the challenges we have as a people, and as a leader, I'm always under pressure to sort out a lot of my constituents who don't have the Ghana card, especially when the CI was late in Parliament requesting that the Ghana card is a sole identification that should be used for the forthcoming registration exercise. It came to most of us as a blow, because can you imagine if I have to take somebody from a remote area in my constituency to the district capital, then take a vehicle to go and back to go and do Ghana card at 280 Ghana cedis. That's almost 600 Ghana cedis for one person So if I'm taking about 100 people, can you imagine how much I'm going to offer? And these are people who can't do that for themselves. And so if people are challenged in these circumstances, I remember when it was brought close to their doorstep, people had to wake up, go and sleep there 2-3 days, but still they have not been able to go through the system. Some have done it, and up to now, they will say they went there and it's not there. They say it hasn't come. And they have to go through this and several times. And it's a problem. I don't know why Ghana, we are particularly interested in punishing our own people through some of these acts. Why do we have to put pressure on us to go through systems like this? And you sit in the office and you misappropriate and do things. A poor person would come to you and then you would have to extort over 500 cedis just to do a Ganaka. You go to the bank, you want to take money, and that is the only thing you can use. And so it's unnecessary pressure on us. And I think that it's high time most of these people are flushed out of the system. It's not only in the NIA, all the sectors, it's happening. And I'm sure that it's time we begin to look at these things and punish people severely for some of these acts so that it will be a deterrent to most other people who think that they can profit here at the expense of the poor Ghanaian. It's a good thing, and we should push for more of these things. But sometimes the process through which they take them becomes too long that we even forget that people are supposed to be punished. Let's shorten some of these processes and make sure that as quickly as possible we get through with some of these things. And those who have to be punished are punished so that it serves seriously as a deterrent.
So now those who have to be punished are being punished. I mean, these officers have been sacked because they extorted monies from people who came to get national Ghana cards. Is sacking enough, or you expect more?
No, I'm sure you see some of these things when it's established that you're taking so much from somebody, you should be made to pay back to the people. Like we saw the Minister of Foreign Affairs ranting at the passport office the other day. I'm sure that she said some leads were given and some names were mentioned. Once these things are done, people should be made to go the full haul and pay back these monies that they would have profited illegally. Like we see in illegal drug trade. Once it's established that you are a drug dealer, all the properties you would have made out of that are confiscated to the states. So I'm sure we should extend some of these things to the people, because the person goes to extort millions and millions from people, you just sack him. He will go back and establish his own business out of whatever negative money he would have made. And that's it. So I'm sure we should go a notch higher. Beyond sacking, they should be made to pay back. Like we always see people being surcharged, they should also do same, and then this money is retrieved from them. If they can't even get the perpetrators or those from whom they perpetrated the act and giving the money to, they should be made to confiscate this money and pay to checks.
All right, let's see how that goes. Now, inflation increases to 32.7% in July. The story says the year-on-year inflation rate at factory prices for goods and services for the month of July is 32.7%, showing an increase from the 29.2% registered in June 2023. The July monthly producer inflation is also 0.8% as opposed to the 0.6% recorded in June 2023. This information was reviewed by the Ghana statistician, by the government statistician at the Ghana Statistical Service, Professor Samuel Kwabena Enim. The government statistician stated that the industry sector recorded a rate of 35.7% in comparison to 31.3% recorded in June 2023. He added that electricity and gas had the highest rate under the sector with 69.6%. Mining and quarry recorded a rate of 38.9%, while water supply, sewage and waste management were noted to have an increase of 38.5%. Really, how can we really tame this rising inflation that we've been battling with all these months?
I am not surprised you are not even able to ask the right question. You are not too sure what to say and what to ask, because
we've done everything we can.
Yeah, most of us are almost giving up on this. We don't know what else to do, and unfortunately, the head of the economic management team, the solid team, which has become gaseous, now we don't hear from them again. They are busily on their campaign tour. I don't even know what they are telling us. because I seriously don't see what is new for them to bring up. We keep hoping and praying that things would get better, but it's always from bad to worse. And the vice president is a long time ahead from him. I don't even know what they are talking about. And it's unfortunate.
But isn't it different from being the main leader and being the deputy?
What is new? I don't want to listen to some of this. Is it not the head of the so-called solid economic management team? Is it the president?
It could be the head. He could be the head on paper, but in actual fact, maybe not.
Are you suggesting something else? What do you know that I don't know?
No, I'm only saying. I'm only asking.
Or you want to say it is Gabi who is managing the economic team?
I can say same. So too, yeah. Anyway.
We hear some of these things, but in fact, he is the head of the economic management team. And then we heard some figures prior to him becoming the vice president. And we thought that based on the theories he propounded, he was going to turn them to practical. But he's been on the seat for 7 years and we are still counting. And we haven't seen anything new. It's always about excuses and still rehashing the problems to us. We want to see solution. And so some of us are giving up. Every day, the prices of things are increasing. Salaries remain the same. Wages are the same. Taxes are increasing by the day. And then the inflation is also killing us by the day. I just don't know what else to do. We need to, as quickly as possible, kick these people out of governance and bring a more competent team and let's see what they can do to turn the situation around. Ghanaians are just fed up. I can see that you yourself, you are so confused, you don't even know what to ask and what to say again. It's unfortunate. It's so unfortunate that they have lost it all and there's nothing new I'm sure they can do. The IMF deal has come, the loans have come, and we still don't know what they are using the money to do to stabilize this economy. They say once it comes, the economy will be stabilized. But still the instability is higher than we saw it before even the money began to flow in. And so some of us are just giving up. We don't even know what else to say and what to do. It's so unfortunate, my brother.
How would you tackle this? How would your government deal with this when you're voted into power?
My brother, if these people can take all the monies from the banks and go and keep it in their chobosis at homes, and people are stealing $1 million and all that, and they are not able to recognize, how can we have money in the system and to make things go down? If they can go to the extent of printing all the money from the Bank of Ghana, only for Bank of Ghana to make a loss of over 60 billion, how can we sustain this? It's just recklessness on the part of the DSMPP government that is causing some of these things. And for us, the country is always at our heart, and we always strive for the ordinary Ghanaians. That's what social democracy is all about. And I'm sure that that policy of ours is what is going to change and turn things around. This capitalism that we are experiencing, and it's all about them. They don't even keep the money in the banks any longer. They go and keep it in their homes and their polytanks. How can things be better with such attitude from the so-called leaders that we have at the helm of affairs who are supposed to turn things around for us? So we are not novice when it comes to management of the economy. John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, has been at the helm of affairs for so long and knows how things can be turned around. And so Ghanaians saw what it was, and we are seeing what it is today. And I hope that at the right time, things will turn around once we come into power. We have thrown today a lot of the policy differentiations and alternatives that they can take. You have always heard our people at the helm of affairs, Adungo and his colleagues, always giving them policy initiatives and alternatives that they won't ever take. Can you remember when they long advised them that they should go to IMF and they decided not to go with the pomposity they displayed, and when everything went comatose before they went there? And that is the challenge we are seeing today. And so you take the right decision at the right time, and then things will go better for you. And so I believe that we have a lot more to offer to Ghanaians, that we are seeing this inept government and this insensitive people throwing at us. It's all about their pocket, lining it with dollars and making sure that their future is secured. It's high time we begin to show our anger at them and then not continue to live under this reckless government for long.
Okay.
We have a year and some few months to go. We don't wish that anything happens like we are seeing in Niger, but we just hope and pray that they leave the Ghana we all know in one piece for us. Okay. We don't think that they leave themselves and take the money and walk away. We don't pray for such things to happen, but we should have hope in the leadership of NDC. That is what is coming to change things around.
Okay. Now let's do the new crusading guide. Murder of Ahmed Swale. Your criminal and reckless conduct led to the murder of Ahmed Swale. Family to Kennedy, Japan. Team Baumia launches *202# to support campaign. Be strict on special voting guidelines. Jampo urges the NPP. Queen's Girls SHS to celebrate 10th anniversary. And ECOWAS court dismisses suit against a Japan deal. Let's get into that story. It's on page 10 of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. It says a 3-member panel of the Community Court of Justice of the Economic Community of West African State, ECOWAS, has dismissed an action filed in the court by 3 anti-corruption bodies in Ghana seeking an order of the court to restrain the government of Ghana from implementing the Japan royalties deal. The ECOWAS court held that the 3 applicants did not provide any evidence to suggest, as alleged by them, that the Japan deal will deprive the Ghanaian people of their commonwealth. The court further underlined the fact that the Minerals Income Investment Fund, MIF, and the processes of setting up a Japan royalties, as well as the floating of the shares on the London Stock Exchange, were all approved by Parliament in a transparent and legitimate manner. The court also supported the government of Ghana position that the Japan was 100% owned by the state and that a 49% intended to be floated on the LSE could not be misconstrued as depriving the people of Ghana of their common wealth. So I guess now all is well. All the way is clear for the Japan deal to be implemented. Your reaction?
As for these people, whatever they want to do to us as Ghanaians, they should go ahead and do, and it's just a matter of time. I'm sure that things will be well.
No, but is it really as for these people? The court says the petitioners could not really provide evidence to support their claim that the deal would deprive Ghanaians of their commonwealth. So it's not about them. It's about what the law is saying, isn't it?
No, but my brother, we are in Ghana and we know what is good for us. And so if we think that behind the scenes there are things that are happening that we aren't too sure of and that we think that should be reviewed and if possible cancelled, what's the big deal? And so we are waiting. They should come and really we'll meet them. As for Honorable Kennedy Japan about this Ahmed Swale issue, he cannot put it away. He says that it will not be an albatross on his neck. It is an albatross on his neck, and no matter what he does, Ghanaians are going to hold him responsible for unnecessarily exposing this guy to danger. And
okay, all right. Then. Okay, you. Maxwell Lukoto, Chief, I'm grateful to you for joining us and all the best to you.
Thank you so much, my brother, and I wish you all the best.
All right.
I'm sure not too good for you. Your pocket, I'm sure, is still dry. But we hope everything will be better soon.
All right.
I wish you a pocket empty week.
Okay.
A weekend.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Wish you same. That's the NDC parliamentary candidate for South Tongue, Maxwell Lukoto there. This has been the News Review segment. It's brought to you by our sponsors who always help us to bring you this particular segment. I'll bring you details about them when we return. But up next is Muftao Nabila coming your way with the latest from the world of sports. Do stay with us.
Good morning. Let's do sports now on the AM show. I am Muftao Nabila Abla, and we start with Ghana athletics.
And Bawa Husseini, who was elected president of the athletics governing body last week, has been speaking to us, sharing his vision for athletics in the country and what he seeks to achieve in his first ever competition, which is the World Athletics Championships, as a president. He says that one of the goals is for them to secure qualification to the finals of the 4x100 meters relay.
For Ghana athletics is huge. My first and foremost target is to win an Olympic medal in the next 2 Olympic Games. Not this Paris, Los Angeles. My vision is Ghana to win a medal at that. And it's
but we don't have the infrastructure. How do you get that done?
No, we can get it done. Thankfully, they are doing Legon, and I know UCC also will do the tracks. Winneba just spoke to me yesterday that they are also going to do the tracks. So before Paris 2024, we will have a couple of infrastructure ready in Ghana here, and the bottom one is also coming up. We have the issue is not only the infrastructure. The issue is funding. And we are going to work with the state to get the funding sorted. We have the athletes, we have the coaches, all what we are needing, or what we needed now to get the Olympic medal is just the funding. I said it earlier in a year that if we get between $500,000 in a year for the next 60 years, we are going to bring a medal. Our athletes are just there. What they need is financial support. Could you imagine Daisy go to America within 1 season? He did 19.79.
Yeah. In 200 meters.
In 200 meters. If he had run that thing at Eugene, that could have earned him.
That was a podium.
Yeah, that was a podium performance.
Yeah, that was a podium run.
Yes. So if we support him, at least if the state can give him $20,000 a year to prepare himself for the next 4 years, this guy can win. This guy can make an Olympic medal. Azamati, Joe Paul, Samini, Dazi, Rose, there are a lot of them.
Yeah,
what we just need is financial support of this athlete.
But Bawa, as CEO, if you are not able to help your president to raise this kind of money, what shows that as president you can raise the money?
No. As CEO, you don't call the shots. You're only waiting for somebody to give instruction to operate. If you're going to jump that, so he did that thing without.
But you can advise.
No, you can advise. It's an advice. The advice is that they take it or he take it or he leave it. But as a president, you have the obligation to fund the money. You have the obligation to make your executive to believe in your vision. That's what we call effective leadership. You need to make your executive to believe in what you are telling them, to believe in what you are saying, to believe in the policy that you are implementing. So if there are edges, if there are rough edges, they will support you to smoothen that edges up. Then you proceed. And I can tell you, we will get the money, we will get the medal in the Los Angeles Olympic Games.
First 3 things Bawa will want to do as president, and what would you want to be known for as president of Ghana Athletics after your tenure?
I want to be known as the first president of Ghana Athletics to win an Olympic gold medal. And we will work towards it. It is a huge challenge.
But they say the politicians speak big. You are speaking big.
No.
Big talk.
I'm not speaking big. I'm not speaking big at all. Just imagine if you are able to keep these 4 athletes, give them $20,000 a year for the next 4 years. Azamati, Joe Paul, James Dazi, Boisho, Samini.
Yeah.
Whoever comes to join can come and join.
And there's Edwin Gadaye,
Raymond French, get the 45.
French, yeah.
And we have 245s currently in Ghana here. If we can get this 5 athletes and get the 4x4, the 400 meter 4 athletes, get the ladies too, give them $20,000 a year for the next 4 years. Do you think what they can do? Just like how the Australians are doing.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything different.
Yeah.
The Olympic level athletes, they give them $20,000 a year to the next 4 years. So they won't bother to go and work. They won't think about
$80,000 dedicated to each athlete.
To each athlete. And they'll bring you the medal. That is what we are setting our target. and we will get it. I have 2 sets of goals. We are praying to go to finals first, so that we'll book our ticket for Barbados next year, world release.
Okay.
That will also propel us to the Olympic Games.
Okay.
When we get a ticket to Barbados, then we'll now plan toward the medal performance. Because our ultimate goal is to be in Paris 2024. So first, we need to go to the finals. After the finals, then we'll plan for the medal. But if we don't go to the finals, it will be difficult for us to qualify for the Barbados. And if we don't go to Barbados, so it will be difficult for us to go to the Paris Olympic Games. So the first thing we are planning to get into is to get to the finals. Get the finals, the coaches will plan for the medal.
Azamati is not there.
Yeah, but we have pretty good team now. Look at all the team. They run 10-0-4, 10-0-3, 10-0-3, 10-0-3.
This team. When we went to Aragon, we're doing 9.
No.
We're doing sub 10.
We're doing sub 10, but prior to that, they were not repeating that time. So this team is more potent than the team we took to Oregon. Collectively, not individually. Yeah. Collectively, is stronger than the Oregon team.
You've got to stand by and watch that conversation extensively on the AM show tomorrow as we speak to the new president of Ghana Athletics. He shares his story of grass to grace, a man who started as an athlete, went through the ranks, and now he's a president of Ghana Athletics. But now, let's move on and do something on football. By virtue of West Africa Football Academy's decision to withdraw from competing in the top flight or any major domestic competition under the umbrella of the Ghana Football Association, the GFA has decided to organize a play-off for Division 2. General Secretary Prosper Harrison Addo has been explaining why.
As was determined last season when we had a playoff to determine a club to feature in Zone 3. It's the same precedent that is being used by the Executive Council. And so the second place team in the second division leagues of the Zone 2 regions, RFA regions. So we are talking about Mahala Football Academy, who plays second in the Ashanti RFA Second Division League, and then Team Move, Western Region RFA Second Division League. They came second to
that was Western Region.
Yes,
they played second to Rose Park.
Rose Park.
Yes.
And then Young Rebel played second to Vipers in that exciting match played at Cape Coast. Yeah. And so the three of teams will battle it out, and the eventual winner will play in Zone 2 of the Access Bank Division 1 League. Prepare for the matches at Cape Coast. The Siudu Park will be hosting the matches.
So the dates, once again, the first game is on Sunday?
Sunday, 10 a.m. Then we'll play on Tuesday, and then Thursday we conclude.
And the winner replaces Wafa in Zone 2 of the Division 1 League.
Now, let's talk Ghana Premier League. Kumasi Asante Kotoko, their striker Steve Mukwala has been speaking about his goal for next season. According to him, he hopes to do better than he did last year to put smiles on the faces of the fans of Kumasi Asante Kotoko.
What I believe I will do better than I did last season. I will improve on myself, improve on everything, so to make sure that this season becomes a better season for me in Kotoko. The reception from the fans, they're really welcoming, and basically that really motivated me and pushed me, showed that the love in Kumasi is really amazing. This season we shall do better. That's my first priority this season, and my main target, winning the league. Still fighting for the top scorer. But basically, what I know about the coach, his character, so I believe we shall go far with his character and the love for the game.
Competition. This will wrap up AM Sports here with me, Muftawo Nabila Abla. We appreciate your time.
The National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, has begun a thorough assessment and scrutiny of the proposed textbooks for basic schools in the country. Director General of NACA, Professor Edward Appiah, who led a team to visit some of the schools in Accra, revealed that some of the teachers were resorting to unapproved textbooks and were relying on sole authors.
Of course, there was one or two teachers who were using some books which were not approved. But it was for the teachers. They said that they are using it to help in their preparatory, which is fine. And so we encourage people, teachers, even parents, to make sure that the books that are being used, they check to see whether surely it has been approved or not. The ones that they are not in, and as I just indicated, the minister have tasked NACA to get the data for every school, especially now that we are doing NST, we've been doing P6, we've been doing DHS. We need to have the data so that it can be used to do the distribution, because it's sad when the materials have been procured, the textbooks have been procured, yet the schools think that they don't have them. And the minister is worried, and he has taxed, even it's an adult tax, but we will make sure that we get the data so that the supplies will go directly to the schools and we will cut short these issues of we don't have them, even though it's been supplied.
Head teacher of the Manchetaki 1 primary school, Belinda Dede Sefako, indicated that even though the government has supplied some of the textbooks, the ones available are not enough, and this is affecting the students.
In a way, I would say yes, because the children need it to, at least when they see pictures of things, it will help them. When they see the pictures and they are able to read too, it helps them. The teachers jot down a few points for them, but if they have the books, it will help them. The curriculum started in 2019. It was simple. Yes, we've had this challenge, but they've solved it to a point. So, by providing some of the books for us last year. The other 3 have not been provided, so at all, yes.
Professor Edward Appiah revealed some measures which are underway to ensure unapproved textbooks are off school and bookshops.
The team is working on them. In the next set of books that are coming, that is what we are going to do. One of the things that we are even trying to do is to avoid sole authorship. We think that for the textbooks to be enriched, you need to have more than 2 or 3 authors. So you have an RME, then that's one person has authored it. I don't think that it helps in that. So the new things that are coming up, the board have approved that henceforth books that are going to be approved or published, they are supposed to be authored by 2, 3, apart from other contributors. So even though you might have about 3 authors, you also have other contributors going through, and all these will have to appear in the book for us to verify how the book is.
This exercise is expected to continue in the upcoming days to ensure various basic schools in Ghana have the approved textbooks. For Joy News, Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah.
All right, so welcome to the AM show. Let's talk about education, because the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment says it has discovered that some basic schools are resorting to unapproved textbooks. I mean, as you heard in the report today, due to government's failure to supply the textbooks on time. Some teachers even say they use the resource park and go on to Google to get information to teach these children. How do we deal with the issues? I've been joined on this segment by Honorable Peter Nortsu. He is ranking on Education Committee of Parliament, and also Dr. Isaac Osu. He is the NAT president. Gentlemen, good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Kwajo.
Great. Let me start with you, Dr. Osu. I mean, why have we still looked on for this to persist when the new curriculum came in operation more than a year ago?
Kwajo, thank you for having me this morning, and a very good morning to your cherished viewers. I think with the issue of the new curriculum and its related matters has not helped us, all of us. You see, in 2019, when GES started the implementation of the new curriculum at the KG and the primary level, the GES trained about 168,000 teachers within a week. And the assurance was that we are doing away with the old curricula together with its old textbooks. So we should discard all the old curriculum with the old textbooks, with the view that as soon as the teacher gets a copy of the new curriculum, it comes with its own textbook, approved by NACA and supplied by the Ministry of Education through GES. And since 2019 till date, the schools have received 5 textbooks out of the 8 subjects that they are doing under the new curriculum. And the teachers, I would say that we have to recommend our teachers, because if you look at how resourceful the teachers have become, they themselves going to online to do their own research without anybody giving them a motivational support, doing everything possible to get material to teach the children to understand the new curriculum. So this is where we are.
I'm just hearing this morning that it extends to the junior high schools.
The junior high schools, we are even yet to, the teachers are even yet to have a training. And not only the junior high school, it also extends to the secondary school. But the secondary school curriculum, the preparation is underway. The key stakeholders are being given the relevant documents to make their input. But the junior high school, they are even yet to have the training. So we are not even started at all at the junior high school.
So we have a new curriculum for junior high schools.
Yes,
but teachers have not been trained, you mean?
Exactly.
How long have we had this at the junior high school?
No, the implementation has not even started.
Oh, okay.
The implementation of the new curriculum at the junior high school has not even started.
Okay. So the junior high school is still using the old curriculum, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So if you complain to government, what has been the reaction? Because if we started in 2019 to 2023, that's more than 3 years. It's getting to 4 years now.
But you see, maybe the ministry will be in the better position to tell us what has actually caused the delay. Because, since 2019, as union, we've been advocating and drawing the attention of the ministry, together with GES, that the textbooks play a very pivotal role in the teaching of the child. Because that is the reference material that the child will depend on when he or she is learning at a later time. And even in the last 2 years, the ministry assured all of us that they have given the publishers 120 days to finish the publication of all the textbooks. And so we are surprised that today we have not had the full complement of the textbooks in our schools.
Wow. So you are in it. We may probably not be there. Let us understand how exactly this is impacting on teaching and learning at the basic level.
Yes, if you listen to the CEO of NACA yesterday, they said they went around some schools and alleging that some of the teachers were using unapproved textbooks. So, if GES, NACA, Ministry of Education and work within their own timeline. Who would think that NACA will go to a place and claim that or allege that they saw teachers using some unapproved textbooks? When you claim about it, certainly somebody will finish for you.
So which means, of course, then that we are not even assured of the quality of learning the kids are doing. The teachers are doing their best, but when the kids have to read, they don't have any books.
But you see, the sad aspect of our public schools is that if you look at the schools in the hinterland, some of these children, their parents are not even having any social amenities that will enable the child to study on its own. The only source of reference that is used is the textbook. So if you travel to maybe the Akati West or Kati West, where we have about 46 island schools, and 46 islands, and out of the 46, it is only 21 islands that are schools. Where are these children going to get internet and whatever, or the teachers going to get internet access to internet to go online to research?
Well, let me bring in Peter Nortsu here. He is ranking on the education committee. He's a person who is very interested about education. Chief, grateful that you could join us here. You've had the NAT president there, and it's quite disturbing that even at the junior high school, training has not been done at all on the new curriculum for teachers. What is the Education Committee of Parliament doing about all of these things? Because I'm sure you are aware.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning once again. Yes, we all believe and agree that education has a dynamic dimension, and that from time to time, there's a need to review the curricula at all levels. So 4 years ago, when the Minister of Education decided to introduce a new curriculum, we all agreed that it was necessary, looking at the technological changes that are taking place in education and other sectors all over the world. So Ghana shouldn't be left behind. But for 4 years or more, after the introduction of the new curriculum for basic school, we realized that the government was not able to provide the necessary textbooks to support the various subjects that are to be handled under the new curriculum. So as a committee, especially the minority, we were always teaching government about this, that you cannot develop a curriculum and for 4 years there will be no textbook. They answered that they had provided resource pack to the teachers. Then, as the last speaker said, how many communities are having electricity? So those in the rural areas and island areas, communities, as the last speaker said, how would they get electricity to probably charge the batteries of their parks and all those things, and then be able to teach? And in any case, you even need textbooks to support whatever you have in the resource pack. And they said the teachers were doing their best. Yes, we know they were doing their best, but we fought support. So we continued to ask government until last year, when they said, the textbooks will be ready for the commencement or before the commencement of last academic year. We monitored them, so at the time they took us around the publishing houses to show us the progress they were making. We thought it was going to be enough, but a later investigation realized that it was just about a third of the requirements of textbooks that the schools needed. So only few schools had a supply. So the target has not been reached or attained, and that's where we are now. It's about 5 pupils to one textbook. So you realize that the target that we reached in 2016 of 3:1, with the mind that within the next 3 or 4 years, it will be 1:1 supply of textbooks, we have not been able to achieve. We are rather retrogress. And my brother, what is even more interesting is that the Ministry of Education has not been able to pay fully to the publishers and the printers of the textbooks that were printed last year. And they have been calling on the committee to put pressure on government to pay them. So about 6 months ago, so they paid them something with the balance still left. So the Ministry of Education cannot have that moral courage again to ask or request the publishers to print more textbooks.
So it means that there have been some textbooks. Where did these textbooks go? Because
when we monitored the distribution, we saw that it went to almost every district, but the quantity was nothing to write home about, because it did not meet the needs of the schools. So if a school had only 10 copies of maybe a social studies textbook or an English language textbook for a particular class, how are they going to use it? And some of the core subjects, some schools, even in Accra, did not receive it. So you realize that the distribution wasn't effective, and even the quantity was rather inadequate, woefully inadequate. And the printers and the publishers are not ready to do any work again on credit for the Ministry of Education, because according to them, they borrowed money from financial institutions, they were paying interest, and it was on a dollar rate, and you realize that they have run at a loss. So it is government that must make sure that payment is made to the suppliers or the printers so that we can get the right number of textbooks per pupil or student in our basic school. That's why when recently they mentioned that this was the last BEC, I told them it was not true, because the new curriculum has not taken effect even in the junior high school. So how come it is the last one? Because they are operating on the old curriculum. So there was no way they were going to say that there will be no BEC next year. What evidence are they to show that teachers are implementing the new curriculum at the junior high school level? There's no evidence. There are no textbooks even to support the new curriculum that is to be handled at the junior high school.
So what has the education ministry been telling you in terms of timelines? Because we started implementing this in 2019. We are in 2023, and we are still grappling with the issue of no textbooks. Now, a publication that was done by KNUST, Achieving Quality Education in Ghana, the introduction says, one of the major stumbling blocks in the delivery of quality education in the country is that of shortage of textbooks. Since textbooks and instructional materials have direct impact on what is taught in schools and how it is taught, the government, some time ago decided that we would introduce the free supply of textbooks. So it means that without textbooks, we are then impacting negatively on the quality of education. So what timelines has the ministry given to you, the committee, as in how it was going to supply textbooks to these schools?
Thank you very much. We have heard of timelines without number. Because I remember many a time we had to bring the minister to the floor of the House to answer questions on these textbooks matter. And the minister said that textbooks was not the only instructional material. It was only to support. But some of us argue that even in the developed countries, where they have the technology working 24 hours, facilities are there for pupils or students to learn. Because I gave an example. When I went to the US on a demonstration lesson, you give assignment to a student, a senior high school or junior high school student online, and you will answer the questions back to you online. You mark and then you discuss the challenges with the students. We don't have that facility here. So for me, his argument that you can use technology, the teachers can use the technology, the facilities are not here. So we need textbooks. In some developed countries, they still use textbooks to support other instructional materials. So his timelines have come and gone without meeting the timeline. So we cannot take any timelines from them again because he will say it will not come to pass. So we are, I don't know what to say. We don't think that anything about timelines given by the ministry or the minister, we should take it serious.
Okay. Dr. Usu, this is quite a big look. Since 2019, we've been talking about there's a lack of, textbooks and what have you. Yesterday, NACA itself, I heard the director say that so some of the books they were using were unapproved. What is the danger at hand here if, because government is not supplying the books, some schools have to use unapproved books?
Well, the honor lies on the NACA. You see, you are an agency authorized to satisfy textbooks in our schools. And you prepared the new curriculum. The teacher did not prepare the new curriculum. And the new curriculum NACA prepared, NACA is to approve textbook that will go with the new curriculum. And it is one thing approving a textbook and another thing procuring the textbook. Now, the publishers, as I said, about 2 years ago, the minister said he has given them about 120 days to finish publication. Now, if what my honorable
Member of Parliament of the Education and member of the Education Committee.
Yes, it's saying that the publishers have not received even the earlier work they have done, their money. Then the problem must be a financial problem. Is it that the ministry's budget has been cut? And if it has been cut, at least the Select Committee on Education, they should have interest in making sure that the ministry is allocated enough resources to enable the ministry to give the full complement of textbooks to our children. Because the children in our schools do not wear any party color. They are Ghanaian children. And we are expecting our members of parliament to make sure that certain areas, you cannot just cut their budget. Because if you continue cutting their budget, the effect that will come on us will be dire.
If you say the effect will be dire, what are you trying to imply?
Well, if NACA is alleging that some teachers were using unapproved textbooks. So if it is indeed the teacher is using a textbook or material that is not in line with the new curriculum, then it means we are deviating from the core mandate or the purpose of the new curriculum.
Well, so for you teachers, when you went for the training, I mean for the basic level from 1 to 6, I'm sure when you went for the training, you were giving certain times that the textbooks would be made available. What were these timelines that the ministry gave you?
It was with immediate effect. That as soon as you receive the new curriculum will come with its new textbook. So the teachers were warned, including the heads of those schools, that no head will allow any teacher to use the new curriculum with their own textbook. Directors were directed to do away with the old textbook to make sure that we start the implementation of the new curriculum on a good note. So the timeline was with its immediate effect after the training, and it was a risky training.
Will the use of the unapproved textbooks lead to what some would describe as miseducation?
Well, you know, I am unable to confirm whether what NACA is claiming to be so.
No, but NACA is the one in charge of certifying every textbook that need to be used. And NACA is the same one saying that some of the books I've seen you use are unapproved. That should be a strong confirmation and a worry.
I agree with you, but you see, the teacher is in a handicap in terms of service. So this teacher will have to resort to other means in making sure that he is able to explain the concept to the better understanding of the child. So now, if NACA is saying that yes, we have gone out, some schools are using unapproved service. As for the teacher is doing his or her best. There is somebody who is supposed to procure this service as soon as NACA approves it. So, if NACA telling the one in charge to produce the textbook that we should leave that person away, it is somebody who needs to procure this approved the textbook.
So what does NAT intend doing, to ensure that this situation is rectified?
Well, for me, I think that since about 3-4 years that we've been discussing this same subject matter, the ministry, together with GS, I believe they are listening to your program this morning. And then since yesterday, I've gotten the clarity. I believe that the best way is for them to put their heads together and with immediate effect, collaborate with the publishers to make sure that they supply this service to the schools and move forward, my brother.
Now we've understood around the table that this is a money matter. It's a money problem. It means that they don't have the money, and that's why this is happening. How can they then collaborate with the publishers and make the book available?
Yes, it's money matter. But there are so many ways to kill a cat.
Okay. Mr. Nortsu, Dr. Usu says there are so many ways of killing a cat, and therefore government needs to find a way to get these books available. What would be your suggestion?
Thank you very much. The issue is that when budget of the Ministry of Education is presented to Parliament and referred to the Committee on Education, we as much as possible try to defend the budget so that there are no cuts here and there. So when we argue and the budget is approved, we expect the Minister of Finance to release same to the various agencies under the Ministry of Education. And you will realize that the money don't go. For instance, even WAEC, it took me a whole week to talk on behalf of WAEC before 15 million was released to them to run the BEC for this year. So the inability of the Minister of Finance and the government to look at the priority that everybody should attach to education. Once it is not coming, we realize that the government commitment to basic education is not there. So that is the challenge we are facing. If the Ministry of Finance should realize the fact that we need to improve on basic education in this country and release this money continuously, I think we will not have the challenges we are facing now. And for instance, the payment of the textbook, we approved the Get Fund formula. About 200 million Ghana cedis was to be paid to the publishers and the printers. As we talk, Get Fund has not received any releases for this year as part of the money approved. So we will continue to talk, but the onus lies on the Ministry of Finance to do the needful so that the basic education system can receive some upliftment. As it is now, the consequences of the poor basic education we are giving to our children, especially in the public schools, if care is not taken, will produce children who will not know anything from nothing.
So you approved 200 million to be paid to them this year?
Yes.
And that has not been paid?
No. Because GETFA has not received the needed allocation from Ministry of Finance. And you know the GETFA law. At the end of every 30 days, they must be paid what the government receives on their behalf. But because of the capping and realignment, GETFA receives just about 38% or less of its annual estimate. So that's it. For instance, Parliament, per the budget, GETFA was to receive about 4.6 billion. But the ministry came with a total of 1.8 billion to be released to GETFA. And that was not enough for GETFA to carry out its programs and activities for the year.
So is there nothing, completed?
Yeah. For instance, this year, they were not going to even put up any classroom blocks at all across the country. I said, why? How can you do that? So we had to realign the budget for them, or their formula for them, to enable them to build at least 200 school infrastructure throughout the country this year. So GETFA is suffering. All the agencies, they are not getting their releases. So education is being underfunded all over the sectors.
Well, let me bring in Mr. Asare Kunedu Nyanka, the Ghana Publishers Association. He is the president of that association. Mr. Nyanka, okay, so Mr. Asare Kunedu Yamoa. Mr. Yamoa, I'm grateful for joining us. How much are you owed as we speak?
Yeah, the contract that was given, we're looking at an amount of 239 million.
239
million, yes.
Are these for books you've printed already?
Books we've printed and supplied, delivered.
How many books have you printed and delivered?
I can't give you up here, but what I'm saying is that total contract is 239 million.
Wow. And these are books that you've printed and supplied to schools?
Yes, and those are not all, these are not the entire textbook requirements. We did the core books, i.e. the mathematics, the science, and yes, about 3 of them.
So what will it take for, you, the printers or the publishers, to keep supporting government in making these textbooks available to the children, the schools?
So it's very difficult at this stage. You see, let me state that we have always worked with the Ministry of Education, and there have been delays in the payment of supplies. But this current procurement, I think that the payment has delayed far beyond what we expected. If we are unable to replenish our supplies, especially with the printers, who will import paper to do the textbook as we are required, it will be very difficult for us to proceed along this line. This government is not ready and there's no money. We will not supply the textbook.
What is the period within which government has owed you? How many months?
No, I think about 3 months and it's 2 years.
3 months in 2 years, or 3 months and 2 years?
No, we left about 3 months and it will be 2 years.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's 1 year, 9 months.
Yes.
Okay.
And the most pathetic thing is that we, as it is, we don't know who is paying us. Whether it's GETFA paying, Ministry of Education that is paying. We don't know who is paying.
Why don't you know who is paying you? Who gave you the contract?
No, the ministry gave us the contract. But the ministry is saying that get farm is going to pay. Meanwhile, when you go to get farm, there's no money there for that farm to pay. Meanwhile, the ministry does not have money at the ministry to pay for the textbook. So, as we say, we don't know how the money will come. And it's very pathetic because these are business people who have invested millions of dollars in printing textbooks, supplying to the people. And then, of course, we don't know how come this issue happened. Because there was excellent assurance of the Ministry of Education that immediately we supply and submit our import. They were going to pay us. Now we supplied, we delivered to the district, we have submitted our evaluation, and yet we are not paid.
NACA found out that there are some unapproved books that the schools are using. Why do we have those books in circulation?
So I yesterday I spoke to him and I want to repeat this. If NACA has found out that some books are unapproved in the system, we will urge NACA to produce a list of the publishers and the textbooks that are involved. That will be the basis for us to know which publisher has planted the store. Otherwise, NACA cannot make that business statement and then leave it aside. So we are demanding that NACA to produce the list of the publishers and the textbooks. Then we will know. Then there will be a basis for us to question our publishers, if indeed some of them are part of it. So we will not spend our time and our effort on this until NACA produces the list. Then we will have a basis for discussion. Otherwise,
So you are challenging NACA to these their allegation of unapproved books in circulation.
Yes, they have to bring the evidence. You can't make an allegation and without evidence. For example, our members responded to that. That's all our work. So I think
you're giving us a lot, but your line is not helping us in the latter stages. That's Kunedu Iyamwa is the president of the Ghana Publishers Association. Mr. Nortsu, you heard the publishers there. They are owed over a year and 9 months arrears by government, and with other monies, they are not willing, they won't supply any book. Again, they are challenging NACA to produce the names of the publishers who are associated with what they NACA allege to be unapproved textbooks. How do we deal with all of this matter to ensure that the education is not really affected that much?
No, thank you again. First of all, government must live up to expectations of Ghanaians as far as education is concerned in this country by making funds available. If you embark on a project or a program and you have drawn a budget, why do you fail to pay so that the program can or the project can continue? So not until monies are made available to the various agencies like Get Fund or the ministry itself to pay the publishers and the printers, I don't think there's anything we can do now. So our appeal always is that government must release money. They are not, government is not saying that there is no money. They will tell you there's money. So why are you not giving the printers money? If you go to the education sector now, so many people are owed the various sums of money. The school suppliers of school uniforms for even 2 years now have not been paid. Food suppliers to various senior secondary schools for 2 years have not been paid. Capitation grants for 3 years now have not been paid. So you see that everything is disarray, especially at the basic level. And they'll continue to tell you, we are doing this, we are doing that, and you don't see anything on the ground. So for me, government must rededicate itself to quality education rather than saying we are doing this, we have this 1.4 million in senior high school. What type of quality education are you giving them? So it is up to government. I'm sure the public has been talking, the committee we have been talking, and until government changes its mind, I don't think there's anything we can do. So they should pay up everybody that they owe in this system, especially the education sector, so that they can continue to provide service to us. Other than that, the situation will continue to be the same. And that is what I would like to say.
But it's been 1 year and 9 months, and government has not paid this money. So, is there any sort of, assurance that, in fact, government can pay after almost 2 years that it has owed these publishers?
Well, as a committee, we don't control the pay. It's government that controls the pay. So, not that the government releases money to the agency to pay. I don't know what we can say, because we have talked time with that number, that do this, do that, pay them people so that they can continue to provide service. Government is not ready to do it. So, my brother, I think they are listening to you, and they should do what is expected of them. I think the time has come that everybody must speak up for things to change in this country.
Dr. Osu, if you listen to, Mr. Nortsu, and you listen to Mr. Yamua, it looks as though that things look a bit bleak, because if government owes the publishers 1 year and 9 months, and we don't know when they are going to be paid, the Education Committee has asked government to pay these people. Government is not paying, and it's only government that could, pay the people so they supply the books. Then the future looks bleak, doesn't it? Dr. Osu?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, I said that is the exact word.
How do we avert this? Because we cannot look on and say our kids should be in a setup for whose future looks bleak. We need to find a way out. What must we do?
I think I said this earlier that it will be very important for the Ministry of Education to put their house in order to make sure that they arrest this situation. Because the earlier we do it, the better for all of us.
Putting their house in order, it's been from 2019 to 2023. They are owed the publishers 1 year and 9 months. You believe that they can really put their house in order?
I believe so. Because, you see, we cannot joke with the future of our children. And the teacher cannot be forced. You see, the ministry should not allow anybody to force the teacher. NACA should not make any attempt to force the teacher. The issue is not about the teacher, but the issue is about the one to produce this book, make them available to the school. And I'm saying that it is doable. It is very doable.
There's this research, a study that was conducted by, it's in the Journal of Education and Practice, and the title is Achieving Quality Education in Ghana, the Spotlight on Primary Education Within the Kumasi Metropolis. It was written by 4 people: Abraham Boachiamponsa, Ebenezer Kofi Eninfol, Emmanuel Kwabena Enin, and Patience Vanderpoy. And I want us to go to their discussion bit, from their study, what they found and what the importance are for us as a country. One of the things that they brought up is that quality education, In order to implement measures to improve primary education in Ghana, it was essential to establish and understand the nature of the challenges hampering the delivery of quality primary education and its impact on pupils. In this study, head teachers and pupils from 4 primary schools sympathetically expressed their concerns about the state of textbooks and supplementary readers in primary education. So it means that we cannot, play with the importance that textbooks bring to our education sector, and therefore we must do everything to ensure textbooks are available. But we spent close to 4 years, we're not getting the textbooks. So what must we do? Before I let you go, what really can change the situation around?
But you see, teaching the child is the duty of all stakeholders. The major stakeholder here is the government. Under the 1992 Constitution, Article 38 enjoins the government to make sure that there are equal accessibility of education to all children in Ghana. Now, if the other stakeholders will all rally behind the major stakeholder to make sure that we prioritize this provision of textbooks as number 1 item going forward, will be better for all of us. Because I don't see the reason why we spend huge sums of money on certain things in this country and we cannot get money to procure a textbook. But how much is a copy of the textbook? I don't think a copy of the textbook will be 1,000 Ghana cedis or maybe 500 Ghana cedis. It is something that we can do. So for me, my prayer to the ministry is that this thing is long overdue. They should quickly put their house together and help us end this matter as soon as possible.
Anyway, does your as soon as possible come with certain timelines?
Well, you see, those who started the curriculum at primary 6, they are now engaged. And so the question now is, this kids, what kind of exams are they going to have? Are they going to have a normal BEC with the old curriculum? Or there's going to be a new form of exam for them? That's why I'm saying that the ministry has no excuse than to make sure that we have the full complement of the books at the primary, and then as early as possible make sure that the new curriculum for the JZ as well is fully enforced with its relevant material.
Okay, all right. Dr. Isaac, so I'm grateful to you for joining us. Mr. Nortsu, before you go, maybe your last words.
So my last word will be that education is expensive. That's why we always approve budgets for it. Education takes about 30% or more of the annual budget of the government of Ghana. And if we don't release money that are needed for the various programs to be effective, then we are not getting anywhere. The Ministry of Education must also make sure that whatever money is released to them, I am sure they will do their best to make sure that basic education is given a top priority. If we can spend over 2 billion on senior higher education, and then or the privileges, and think that that is all education is about, I don't think we are helping ourselves as a nation.
Okay.
So priority attention must be paid to basic education because that is the foundation. And if the foundation is weak, I don't think you can build any good house.
Okay.
So my appeal is that Ministry of Finance will release money to the Ministry of Education for the various agencies to carry out their responsibilities. And that is the only way forward. There's nothing else anybody can do if Ministry of Finance does not release money to the Ministry of Education.
Interesting. Peter Nortsu is a member of the ranking member of the Education Committee of Parliament. I'm grateful to you, gentlemen, for joining us here. Now, a friend of mine who is in the education sector says, Kojo, we went for a workshop on the Common Core program in 2022, and it started its implementation a week after the 1 week training. We were only given the parks which in the old curriculum would have referred to it as syllabus. Coming September will be the third year we are implementing this new program. But as I type, we haven't gotten a single book from GES. Even the one on the market is also another story, though there is inscription that NACA has approved them, but most topics and strands are missing from the textbooks. But for that of the primary school, GES has supplied us with most of them, just that some aren't enough. But as managers, we are managing. So we are only managing the educational sector. That is what we understand. Very, very sad situation there. This is still the AM show. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we have a special interaction with the former Greek minister who's running to be elected as flag bearer of the NPP. He has been speaking to Joy News editor Elton Brobe.
The MPP will head to a Super Delegates Congress to select the final 5 to go for the November National Delegates Congress of the party to elect a flag bearer for the 2024 general elections. Now, whoever is elected will lead the MPP hopefully to victory in the 2024 elections. There are so many who've put themselves up for election. At the last count, we had 10. Now, the Super Delegates Congress will trim the number to 5. Now, one of the key, aspirants in the race to lead the MPP in the 2024 elections is the former Minister for Food and Agriculture. He's also a former Member of Parliament for Kwadaso in the Ashanti region. He's not new to politics. In fact, politics run through the blood from his father, Nortsu Kotoe, up until now. He's hoping to hold the flag of the MPP into the 2024 elections. Today, we are privileged to have him as we look forward into the Super Delegates Congress of the party. Dr. Owusu Afiye Akoto is my guest here on Joy News. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And how has it been? You've been touring the entire country.
Yes.
Has that put, stress on you physically and everything? Are you okay for the task ahead?
I'm more than okay. In fact, I'm familiar with going around the country, as you know, since 2017 when I was appointed Minister for Food and Agriculture. I took the decision that I was going to be stuck in the air conditioning in my office in Accra. That every year I'll visit all the regions to interact with farmers and other stakeholders like extension officers, fertilizer suppliers, agro-processors, traditional rulers and all of that. And in that time, the 5 years, because 2020, because of COVID, nobody could travel. I was good to my word and went around. The last time was on the 22nd of December, just the past year, when I completed my tour of the country with a visit to the Yana in his palace in Yendi. So through that, I have gotten to have interactions. As you know, most of these delegates are farmers. So whilst I'm doing my work, I'm also meeting them. And I also make sure that in each region I go, even if I finish the work at 10 o'clock, I'll still make time to meet the party executives to know what is going on. So through that, I've become very familiar with each and every one of the 10 and later on 16 regions, the additional 6 which were created in 2020. So it's something that I'm familiar with in terms of their problems and their troubles. And the thing is, again, I had an even closer view of the party situation in 2020, when for the 10 months that the president was campaigning, I was with him all the time.
In the lead up to the last elections?
To the last elections. And that gave me an even closer view of what is happening in the party. And what I saw, did not impress me. I mean, you could see that our soldiers, that is the polling stations, executives, their supervisors, the constituency executives, everywhere you went, they were complaining.
About what?
Yenyashi, accommodating.
Has it not been a clarion call since 1992?
Well, no, I think the intensity this time was distinctively more shrill than before.
Okay.
And since then, in my campaigning to this last minute, going around the country, is the same kind of reports that you hear. So the morale of the party is down. That is what my assessment of the situation.
Is that the reason for the party's, some would describe as poor performance, even though you won the last election?
Yeah, but
it came at a very high price.
Yes.
Does that explain the reason for that performance, even though you had implemented the free SHS and the planting for food and jobs, and people were with the view that we're going to just had it easy?
Yeah, but that's the point that I was coming to, that the government had delivered on this promise to this country in terms of economic performance. And you've cited two very clear, one social, one economic intervention, which has been very popular and has a mass appeal to the people. So you would have thought that going to the people for another term, that the result would be even better than the initial one, because you'd fulfilled most of the promises. And lo and behold, it didn't happen. In fact, I consider it that we nearly lost the election. And now we have 137. The difference of us being the majority is just one person who went independent from our side because of the same things happening in this party. He decided to go independent. He won. And then, of course, he had to say that he's working with us. And that's why we are a majority. Right. Otherwise, we would have been a minority.
Exactly.
And then the same thing for the speakership. That very, very high-powered person like Professor Michael Kotoe will go to an election with the current speaker and lost because some of our own MPs decided that they were not going to vote for him.
But that for me, Doctor, is quite interesting. That even though you had people who had gone to election, they won on the ticket of the MPP, and they had taken the parliamentary oath proudly, would still nurture some, resentment to the extent that they voted against the party's choice of a speaker.
Yeah, but that really tells you that there's no discipline in the party. What is going on is a classic example where people are publicly campaigning. High party officials are campaigning for one candidate against the instructions, the regulations of the party, and they know that nobody will say boo to them. You can't. Any institution cannot live without discipline.
You think people should endorse aspirants ahead of the elections?
No, but I mean, that is wrong. It is not in our constitution. Somebody sitting somewhere can say endorse, but not a chairman of a party. And it's become free for all. And they know that nothing will happen to them. And yet, the people who have been chosen to manage this party have the authority to actually punish people for going against the rules and regulations. And they are not cracking the whip. And so everybody is doing whatever they want.
And why is it so?
Well, why is it so? Because of, it's not immediate. This is what I'm saying, that in my 4-5 years going around the country, you could sense that there is that the disputes are not settled. People, they allow it to fester to the point that it becomes personal, and then that is what costs us so many seats. And when we got to Cape Central region, that's when I knew that we are in trouble. Because the old thing about skirt and blouse in the 1990s, which people had forgotten about, suddenly everywhere we went, it was skirt and blouse. And lo and behold, we lost most of the seats in Central region. So we need discipline. We need to really get this party up and going. And the morale, as I said, I detected the morale was down. And at the last minute, to be honest, I was wondering whether we were going to make it. Fortunately, we made it by this, because even our presidential candidate, who beat Mahama with over 1 million votes,
now had to settle for a little over 500,000.
Exactly. So that is what is happening in this party, and we need to really reform this party and bring it up to scratch. And my diagnosis of what is wrong with the party will come with what should we do about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the question. I wanted to touch you a little bit on the discipline aspect,
yes,
and what you think should be done right now.
Yeah, apart from the discipline, there is the issue of money. This party doesn't have the resources of its own. And if a party which can grow over 6 million votes, and is over nearly 70 years old, cannot find a means to finance itself and has to rely on the handouts of its own government and individuals, then there's no future for the party.
And your proposal is that the party should be modeled along the ANC structures in South Africa, where it is deeply involved in business.
Yes, it has to.
Yeah.
And because otherwise, it has to have the independence of its own resources to be able to pay its workers and its activists well, and also have surpluses to develop the youth of this country, because they are the future of the party. If we cannot do that, then the future is very dim for us.
So in the absence of such a structure, when you hear some of the aspirants say that when I come, I will pay polling station executives.
How are they going to pay 210,000 people? Where is the money? Public sector, we know we've entered into an agreement with the IMF, which says that we've frozen public sector employment.
Yeah.
So, in the private sector, who is going to employ those people? And do you know how many, apart from the 210, there's 1.25 million youth between the age of 17 and 25 who are unemployed. These people, those from universities, and so it takes them an average of 7 years before they can get a job. So if you make that promise, where is the money going to come from?
Okay, Doctor, we'll stay a little longer on your plans going forward.
Yes.
Because you've been across the country, now not to, educate them on the planting of wood danger, but to tell them the reason why they should consider you as the best candidate to lead the party in the 2024 elections. We'll get into the super delegates, but just few comments on the indiscipline that you touched on.
Right.
How do you want the current leadership deal with it? We have a few days to go, and I see publications in the media, I see people, endorse certain candidates, certain aspirants with their pictures, and they even makes it appear as though they have the support of the entire region they represent in support of a particular candidate. How injurious is this to the future of the party in terms of unity and cohesion? And how do you want the current leadership address this matter once and for all?
You see, one, this is a very dangerous path. All those people making public pronouncements, they happen to be high government officials.
Right, cabinet ministers, ministers, party chairmen.
So what happens if that candidate does not win? Because what they are doing is really egging the rest of the contestants and the country. And people feel very strongly that it is a misconduct for them to go the way they are going. And there's some kind of force being used, intimidation. I mean, I receive complaints on my trips. Those contractors who are not seen to be for this candidate, they are not paid. When they've completed their jobs, and they've taken huge sums of money from the banks, and the interest rates are 35, 50, 40%, and they're being punished for just saying
supporting somebody else.
Exactly. So it's
so if there's an executive whip.
Well, I don't know about executive whip. I don't know what an executive whip is. But if somebody has done a job, a contract with the government, and they are not paid, while others who declare for the particular candidates are paid.
Who is this candidate?
These are people in the party who have benefited, and the government who have benefited from the sweat of the party, because the party which wins as power in 2016 for us to form a government in 2017, and they feel that they've been let down because the jobs and the things that they were expecting haven't come. And it's not as if it's in one region or one sector. All over. I mean, I've traveled this country, even this year I've traveled twice or three times around the country, and they consistently, the complaint is that accommodating, and at the same time they see all these very government officials going in 10, 20 vehicles, convoys, and all of that. And that doesn't signal, It doesn't give a good signal
But
for the food storage.
But Doctor, this would be worrying, especially if this is a family affair,
exactly.
And then you have this intimidation and all those issues.
Yeah. And you know, it's even worse than between NDC and MPP.
Have you alerted the leadership of the party?
Oh, yes. They are aware. They are aware. I mean, some of these chairmen are, without any reason, they are suspending other constituency chairmen, regional chairmen suspending constituency chairmen because they don't support their candidate and all of that. It comes to their attention. Petitions are flowing into headquarters and all of that. So
is there an attempt to address it?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I'm not following that.
Okay.
I'm actually following my campaign of communicating directly with the 961 people, as many of them as possible, on a personal level, to share my vision with them and to plead with them that they should vote for me because I'm the best candidate to fix the party and then to fix the country.
And how is that going?
It's going very well. To be honest, you know, as I said, I've been around. Every year, it's my policy to go around all the 10 regions, and then later on the 6 additional regions which were created. I go around every year except 2020 because of COVID, nobody could travel. So I'm familiar with the territory, I'm familiar with the party people, and you know, now we're getting specifically to constituency executives, we're getting to regional executives, to the MPs and the other stakeholders who form the 961 collegiate which is going to vote on us. And as many of them as possible, I have had personal contact to convey my message. And first of all, the diagnostics, that there's something wrong with this party. And most of them agree with me. The lack of discipline, the way people are holding themselves and conducting themselves, senior party people misconducting themselves openly, and nobody saying anything. See, that's the difference. If somebody had written to say, look, ABC, it says this and this and that, we have the evidence of a video, this, come and explain yourself. Maybe people will be a bit careful, but nobody is doing anything. So anything goes. And that is what is happening. But I can tell you, while this is going on, people see the injustice in the whole thing. When I say people, I'm talking about party people. And it's really having the opposite effect.
Should the party crack the whip on those who are endorsing the aspirants?
Of course.
Some would say that is their individual right.
No. How can it be individual right? If the party says that you shouldn't openly support one party, one person, and you openly declare on television, on video, and so consistently several times, and nothing is done? Inaction? So where do we go?
Is it because they are serving ministers? Because I know that your relationship with Daniel Akufo-Addo days back, and your support for him was unwavering until he became president. But then also others will say that the party was in opposition then. So the difference is what? Is it because they are ministers serving government appointees? We've had chief executives who virtually left their office and are following some of their
aspirants. But you see, it's a bad signal for the country. It's not only just for MPP. It's not an MPP matter. It is a nation issue, a national issue that you are employed to serve a government, and then you leave your position, like when the vice president was going to submit his forms. Parliament shut down because all the majority MPs were in big buses and so on, the coaches to go and accompany.
And supporting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the country sees this, and it's not a good sign for us.
Now let's talk about you. Let's move away from the concerns that you've raised, which are legitimate, and I'm hoping that the party leadership will address it as you all warm up to the super delegates.
If it's not too late.
Super delegates Congress of the party. Dr. Nortsu Kotoe. I mean, your family history precedes you. Are you the one the party should entrust the destiny into?
Very much so.
And why should that be?
Because I come from the root of the party. And apart from my heritage, I have served this party well. Between me and J.H. Mensah of late, may he rest in peace, formed the Dankwa Buzia Club in London, which is now the UK branch of the NPP, in 1991. When NPP was formed here in Ghana, we changed to NPP UK and Ireland, branch of the NPP. So we've been there in this current dispensation right before the beginning. During the first Congress of the NPP at the Great Hall at Legon, I came from London to represent the UK branch, to deliver my speech. Those who were there will remember. As soon as I mounted the podium and I started speaking, lights went off. I had to stop my speech.
Okay.
And then subsequently for another 8 hours or so. So the things were piling up that I couldn't even deliver this after that because we're running late, we're rushing through and all of that. And then having come to be a member of parliament for 8 years in Kwadasu, the people of Kwadasu in Kumasi, in opposition, all the things that NDC were doing, the government of President Mahama was doing, we were in the forefront, criticizing him on the floor of parliament, in press conferences, going around the country, so we also go so anywhere, taking our case to the people, the masses and all of that. So we did what we could do in opposition for 8 years before we came into office.
Right.
And everybody will tell you that as the ranking member, first as the deputy ranking, and secondly as the ranking member of Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs, I did what I could to oppose this regime, which was, I think I would say, the worst government we've had, with a doomsday for 3-4 years continuous and all of that. London has with this pay or whatever they call it, whether you use or you don't use, you pay. I mean, if it was their own property, I don't think they would even think of signing on the dotted line. But they did, and they have landed as billions of dollars of payments for nothing as we speak.
Yeah.
You know, so we have been very, and then of course 6 years in government of Akufo-Addo, planting for food and jobs, taking this to the farmers of Ghana to give them the new technology of improved seed and fertilizer to better their lives. I don't have to say it, but you can see from the interaction with farmers up and down the country that they were very, very happy with my administration. Not only that, it was reflected also in the national statistics that in 2021, the rate of growth of the agricultural sector was 8.4%, the highest ever in this republic, Fourth Republic. And taking it from about 1.2% in 2016 and bringing it all the way to 8.4%, when the AU target average is 6% for agricultural sector for any member. We went well beyond that.
And yet you complain that with all of this, you didn't get the needed support and resources to
to carry
do the things that you wanted to do.
Absolutely. I mean, and you know, with that, apart from the interface with the farmers to improve their productivity and the adoption of new technology and all of that, rehabilitating the extension services. I was supposed to have 4,400 extension officers. When I did the count, there were only 1,250 left, and those ones in the next 5 years were all going to go on pension. So there was virtually no extension. And extension is the link between science and the farmer. Once you cut it, science is totally off the farmer.
Right.
So I had to appeal urgently to cabinet to allow me to employ 3,000 people, which they did. Gave me 2,500, and then the other scheme for the graduates unemployed, which came in, they also added another 1,000 to it, so that we're able to re-establish extension service of motorbikes, new vehicles for their district or extension officers, new uniforms, and all of those things. And you know, that really changed the whole face of it.
So you think the farmer today is better off than 6 years ago in terms of financial independence?
Oh, definitely. Because you see, whilst they were doing, for instance, maize, they were doing 5 bags per every hectare, a bag of 50 kilograms. 5 bags, so 250 kilograms.
Right.
With a change with the improved variety of maize, hybrid, and fertilizer, you could go up to 30, 40 bags Can you imagine 5 bags to, multiples? So it was no longer a question of planting to feed your family, but planting to do business with the surpluses by selling and getting the money to buy clothing, things that you couldn't afford before. And you go to the northern part of the country, you go to Volta and others, even Greater Accra here, the rural areas, Sege and Nada and so on. Farmers will tell you that they've never had it so good.
Right, so 2 key issues that this government implemented when it came to power in 2017. The free SHS and of course the planting for food and jobs, which you spearheaded. Now some will say that these 2 alone should be enough to keep the MPP in power for as long as it's because in the process you've cultivated new voters whose affiliation to the party should never be an issue. Yet you are struggling to hold on to power with the slogan of breaking the 8. How are you approaching this, and how is it possible that in spite of the economic situation that we have in the country, the resentment, the MPP is still capable of breaking the 8 under you?
Yeah, because the economic situation has deteriorated so fast, so quickly. Nobody, a year before we ran to the IMF, nobody could imagine that the situation would be the case. Maybe a few people who knew exactly what was going on with the figures. But as a cabinet minister, I didn't have any information to the effect that in the next 6, 8 months, 9 months, the money will run out and that we'll be cut off from the international credit community, and that we would have to run to the IMF a bit late to the extent that we have to print money. The central bank had to print 50 billion cedis of money now to support the government. You know, this is in a generation. I don't think this country has gone through that. So we have a tall order, and therefore the machinery that we rely on for us to retain power, which is the party, has to be retooled. And I'm saying that if the party continues the way it is, the indiscipline that we are seeing, and nothing happening to anybody, and so on, then breaking the 8 is going to be extremely difficult.
But what
I would want to do is to change the psychology of the people, of the stakeholders, by saying that this is my vision for the party, this is my vision for the nation. Vote me, give me the flag bearership, and with this vision, I can convince the people of Ghana that I'm bringing something better. So whether you've gone hungry for 7 years or whatever, forget it. You forgive us. We are going to turn a new leaf. You know, you have to give them some hope that your rhetoric is totally different, that you mean what you say, that you are capable of doing it because they see you do it in the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
And are they listening to you?
Oh, very much. In fact, in a lot of places, especially the large farming community, I don't have to talk too much. Because they themselves are bearing witness that I was this, you came and this, and I meet them all the time. Especially the constituency chairman and so on. Most of them, as I said, are farmers. You go to Ahafo, Bono East, you go to the 5 northern region, you go to Savannah, you go to Sege and Ada in Greater Accra, go to Eastern region. People are bearing witness that, look, it's because of you now I have a 20-acre oil palm plantation, because you said this here and you showed us where to go for the seedlings. It's very gratifying to know that people have that kind of confidence. And I know that those bearing witness, definitely, they have benefited. And they see that my program for the future, for the whole nation, for transforming the economy, is exactly the same thing that I've done with them. So they have their confidence. They have the confidence. And I can tell you that I'm not making too much noise. If you hear me, I don't attack anybody. I just focus on my track record and the vision I have using agriculture to transform the economy of this country. That's all I'm saying. And it's going down extremely well, I can tell you that.
So definitely you'll be counted among the 5.
Oh, that one is...
It's a done deal.
Yeah, but it's not that. It's within the 5, how well I perform is what I'm thinking about now.
Sure.
It's not being a part of the 5. I don't think that is an issue. But the people of Ghana will rise up not rise up. They will get in the evening of 2026 to realize that the noise do not vote. The noises do not vote. Is the message with votes.
Yeah. Because the people who are voting are quite identified.
Yes. Oh yes.
And you'll be speaking to them.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have concerns with the register, or is everything okay with it?
The register
for the super delegates.
Oh, just 1 or 2 that we brought to the attention of the elections committee, and they've been very cooperative. They've investigated and have corrected them. So I don't have any problem.
And the party also issued some guidelines.
Yes.
One of them that ministers, MPs, MMDC should not act as polling station executives.
Agents.
And agents.
Yes.
They are also implementing a system such that the ballot will not be tracked, so that people will not be able to identify how somebody voted.
Right.
Or are these welcoming guidelines?
No, these are guidelines that we proposed.
Okay.
We proposed, the Electoral Commission accepted, the IGP has accepted. There's one introduction that you failed to give. That is, everybody will be searched to make sure they don't take any electronic thing into the booth.
Okay.
So they will do what they use the laser
scanners. Okay.
Scanners, like you're going to go onto an aircraft at the airport, the way they scan you. The same thing is going to happen to each of the 916 to make sure that you are not carrying any item which will enable you to take a picture. And physically, it will be done. The IGP has assured us that his top policemen will be distributed across the country. They will be in charge at each of the booths. He has assured us that, so that local connections between local party people and local police and so on will not work. So what we couldn't achieve by saying that we should all come to one place to vote so that everybody will see it, we have achieved through these new measures that we are taking. And that is reassuring the party across the country that yes, we are going to have a secret ballot, which is enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, by which party people have broken for their own interest. This time it's not going to happen.
And you are confident that this is on the paper. In terms of implementation, you have absolute faith in the...
But we have agents.
Yes, to implement everything according to what is on the guide.
We have 2 agents at each polling station. Our agents, each of the 10, everybody will have their agents there. So if you want to break it, the police are there. The Electoral Commission return officer is sitting there. So you come and break it and say you are taking your phone into, regardless of your taking your phone into the booth. You see what will happen.
Do you brief you on the president's assurance that you will remain neutral throughout the process?
Who?
The president assurance that you will remain neutral throughout the process. How much of comfort does that give you?
Well, I mean, as he said, he has 1 vote. Polling station youth organizer has 1 vote. So, what comfort are you talking about? He said, it doesn't, for me, it's neutral. I mean, it doesn't make...
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, why would that... He has a vote. I don't have a vote because I don't qualify to vote. But other colleagues of mine have votes because they are members of the council, they are former executive of the national executive of the party, and so on. So, some vote, some don't vote, but hey, that's what it is.
Clearly, this is a step up from MP now to the highest office of the president. How is your family, rolling along with you on this journey?
Oh, very, very supportive because they have faith in me. They know the kind of confidence that I have in myself. They've seen me perform in the ministry and in parliament and then in my previous jobs, careers that I've followed abroad and so on. So they and I have the energies.
Right.
That's the main thing. I have plenty of energy. I mean, one of your colleagues asked me, oh, they're talking about age. I said, look, anyone should come on the tennis court for 2 hours in the sun, and I'm going to beat them flat. That's how confident I am with my health and my enthusiasm for this party. See, this party is my family. So when I see this party going down the way it's going, lack of discipline and lack of whips and all those things, it really breaks my heart. And we need to put this party on an even keel to make it much bigger, because we are the only party that can bring sustenance and development to the people of this country.
And you are the man for that job?
Well, yes, I mean, for the period that I can handle. But we are talking about years to come.
Exactly.
And we have the opportunity to carry on with the development agenda of this country.
Let me give you the opportunity to address the people of this country as we look forward to the super delegates and national delegates in November, and possibly look forward to the 2024 general elections.
Yeah, first of all, let me address the delegates, the 961. I'm saying that the vision that I have for this country, for this party, knowing what is wrong, what is really making this party go down with a low morale and so on, that I have big plans to revive their morale. And that morale revival is based on what I intend to do, to bring the principles of business and management into this party so we can generate income for the development of our party, and also to pay our activists handsomely to encourage them to work harder for this party. That is not going to come in the short term, because between 4th November this year and 7th December next year, there isn't much. But at least if I roll out my plans for this party, it's totally unique from whatever anybody has heard. And it really is simple, but very visionary, in the sense that it is something that is happening elsewhere. It's not my own imagination. That we are talking about ANC, the African National Congress of South Africa, Mandela's ANC, which owns mining companies, it owns insurance companies, it owns shares in big companies in South Africa and beyond, so that they can afford to pay corporate wages, salaries to their functionaries and their activists on the ground, create jobs for them and all of that. That is the vision that I want to bring to the new patriotic party. And that will really put us on a level which will enable us to rule, not only breaking the 8, but breaking the 16, breaking the 32, breaking the whatever, to help the people of this country develop and enjoy life, a standard of living like any other decent society. That's the first thing. The second is to do with my vision for the country. This country is sitting on wealth. We all know that. Hasn't been exploited. My vision is to use agriculture as the spearhead of breaking the poverty cycle in this country. We've been financing our development with debt. Pensioners, borrowing money from pensioners, poor pensioners, and borrowing money from countries abroad, and borrowing money from the international markets. And since the beginning of our republic, since the beginning from our independence, 66 years, we've had to rely on debt for our development. It won't work. It has never worked. It will never work. We have to get away from that cycle of borrowing money to fix our roads and to create our infrastructure and so on. Agriculture has the tools to be able to do that. The farmers of Ghana in the 6 years of my administration at the ministry have demonstrated to me clearly that if they are given the necessary help, they will deliver.
Sure.
And therefore, it's something that for me is a priority, that we support the farmers in whatever they are doing and create the institutions to assist them. So that's why the Tree Development Authority, for instance, has been created under my watch, which is selecting 6 crops, tree crops, which are oil palm, coconut, rubber, mango, shea, and then cashew. These 6 under one roof to be developed to the level of cocoa where production will be so heavy that we can earn, even in raw state, in the raw colonial state, we can earn anything between 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 billion US dollars a year, and not having to go to the IMF every 4 years on average, 17 times that we've been. We're just coming out and the ink is still not dry on the paper. So I'm coming with a very simple vision and a very simple concept, using our soils, God-given soils, the rivers, the water, the rainfall, and the teeming labor, to turn these resources into money, foreign exchange. I mean, the amount of resources that are going, the surpluses that we've created from planting for food and jobs, going across our borders without any official sanctions. So we are talking about the informal sector, where we are exporting informally something like $100 million worth of grains to our neighboring countries, without any record in our national statistics, without any record in our national bank, central bank. But people bringing CFA and Naira and other currencies here, changing it on the black market, filling their trucks in droves of 10s and 20s and crossing our borders, and our customs people looking the other way so that it doesn't enter in our statistics. All these things need the creation of specific institutions to enable us to take care of these, to bring these into the formal sector, so that Ghana can benefit from the surpluses that we have created through planting for food and jobs and beyond. So my appeal to the delegates, this is the vision that I have. Compared to the vision of others, and you will see that this is a very doable and very, very easily digested concept that can actually turn it around. Not the gold, not the oil that we've been hoping for hundreds of years. For the oil, we started in 2009, bringing it from under the sea. We were hoping that by now, the projections show we should have been doing 500 million barrels a day. Where are we? We are going backwards to the 110s and so on, because we are not having enough investment in the upstream market. So the only practical alternative we have is to support our farmers to deliver to us and use that money for our industrialization, for our education, for our health, for our infrastructure, the motorways, the cocoa roads, all those infrastructure that we need in order to transform the economy. So I'm appealing to delegates using this opportunity provided by Joy FM, and to say that your best bet is also a free Kotoe. So when it comes to it, on the 26th of August, on the 4th of November, remember this party, remember Ghana, and vote for Dr. Owusu Kotoe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and wish you the very best. Hopefully, in some few months we'll come here and I'll be speaking to you as the flag bearer of the party.
On the 5th of November, you'll be here.
You're right.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello there. Thank you so much for staying on the AM show. I'm Bernice Abubeidulansa, and today we have an interesting conversation to have, and we'll be focusing on that 10% tax on betting wins that has been implemented by government. You know, it was passed sometime this year in March in Parliament. So let me bring you a report or a recap of our AM business, after which we'll delve into the issue with Dr. Eric Boakye-Yadom. Watch this.
He's a staunch AC Milan fan whose betting journey started in 2010 a man who has explored different betting platforms, says the tax is likely to dash the hopes of the young Ghanaian.
Oh, I started betting around 2010. 2010, yes, in Kumasi. That time we had Safari, My Bet, a couple of Premier Bet and the rest. 2010, yes, and it's not something I will say is bad. It's bad and good, but its disadvantages are more than the advantages. And I've always said betting was introduced to weaken the African youth, so it has a lot of disadvantages than its advantages. You see, it is not proportional. You lose more than gaining, and if you are to gain more than losing, then the betting companies will definitely collapse.
Are you still staking or you've stopped?
For now, I'm thinking about it because for the past 1.5 seasons, have not won. Okay, have not won, and if you permit me, I would show you my history. I can show you. Have not won, and I've also heard the government is now introducing 10% of what you win because of the economic crisis. I can even show it to you. There was a time I staked 0.02 pesos because I just needed hope. You see, I just needed hope. So and all these, I can tell you, lost. The last time I won a bet is like 2 years ago, but I've been staking 30 cedis, 40 cedis, 50 cedis, 5 cedis, 2 cedis, and 0.02 pesos. So it tells you how the economy. I didn't have any money, but I needed to buy hope. I needed to encourage myself. I needed to motivate myself that I can also be like the rich people in the society, and that made me stake the 0.2 pesos. But I've staked 1,000 cedis in 2016 or so. I think that game was a Champions League game under Louis van Gaal, yes, and Manchester United won that game. Rooney scored, I think, the only goal in the game around the 80th minute. And my brother, what I went through that day, in the 80th minute, the goal had not come. And you see, I'm not a Manchester United fan, but now where the money is, that is where your heart is. And for Manchester United not to score, and me being a sad person, as if I am the winner of Manchester United, tells you that it is not easy. But when Rooney scored, there was all joy on my face. But you see, it is sad. For over 2 years now, I have not won a bet, and I can show it to your cameras. Even this is just one account. I have Bet Power, I have Soccer Bet, I have My Bet, and I have Betway. And even the Soccer Bet, you see, it is lost. Over 1.5 years, we lost it.
The story isn't different for Chikata, a level 200 student of the University of Ghana studying sociology. She says the move is unfair and she expects government to do better.
I don't agree with this because first, before it was e-levy, and then before the e-levy was introduced, how I saw the country, the development and all that, after the e-levy, I was expecting a difference. Like, I should see a difference in the development of the country. Maybe this is what the e-levy was used for, but I've not seen any difference before and after taking the e-levy. So, to this, I feel taking the 10% is because of the economic crisis we have in the country. And to me, I don't believe after taking this, there's going to be any change in the development of the country as I thought it was going to be a change. There was going to be a change during the e-levy. So to me, I don't agree with this. And then secondly, when I bet and then I win, you take 10%. But when I lose, what's going to happen? You're not going to give me any 10%. So it's not being fair. After all, it's my money I invested in the betting. So if I lose and I don't get anything, but when I win, you get something, that's very unfair to me.
Ibrahim is a trader. He thinks otherwise. He tells me that tax on gaming is good, but expects the 10% to be reviewed because the rate is high.
For tax, they are good for us because it's a development thing. We can't refuse from tax. Tax is good. But if you tax the person, if the person who tax it is too high, he can't even pay. Even he will draw from the belt. Understand me? So yeah, it will be dodging. Because if I go stay, then I pay 10 cedis, the next time I'll come and stay again. No, I won't come again. But even if you tax me like 2 cedis, then it's good for me. So if you tax me about 10 cedis, I'll even pay more.
The application of this levy is part of a broader review of the income tax, on gaming and lottery operations in the country.
It's going to, discourage most of the youths in going through this betting, this lottery and all that. And in another way too, most of us are unemployed. Most of the youth in Ghana are unemployed. So many of them are using these bet platforms to get income, to get money into their account in order to do one or two things that they need to do. So I think in a way it's going to help, but in a way it's not going to help us too.
There are no jobs in Ghana, and the youth would actually be indulging criminal activities such as armed robbery and just to get money for their own benefits. But betting companies have come to make the youth also have a better way of getting money, which is in a way not good, but it's better than being an armed robber or yes.
Someone who had big or plenty and did not make good use of it, that small amount cannot do anything. So what have they done with the e-levy? And mind you, you are taxing the betting companies. What have you done with it? You are taxing the telcos. What have you done with it? And now you are going to tax the poor boy who comes from Obuasi, who is just trying to buy hope so that he doesn't engage himself in immoral acts. What are you going to do with it? Even the 3 billion, you did nothing with it. What are you going to do with that 10%? It is not going to help us. So, you see, one, they are lazy and they are using the lazy man approach. And if you use the lazy man approach, there is no significant impact in the society. So it's better they stop. It has no positives, it has no advantages.
Meanwhile, tax analyst Francis Timoboy says the move by government is fair to rake in more revenue domestically.
I think it's a fair move. If you look at the drafters of the Income Tax Act in 2015, it clearly indicated that it's an investment income, and so I don't see why somebody will make an investment and make a gain then pay tax. It's a way of widening the tax net. So for me, I think it's the best. The only concern that I have is that the rate appears to be a little high. Remember that if you lose, we don't tax you. If you lose the money, if you place the bet and you lose, we don't consider it. It's only when you win. So I think that the 2015 way or 2016 approach, where if people could, make gain at above 2,500, that is when we tax them. That was the best approach. Any tax that is introduced will certainly have impact on the behavior of people, but I don't think that this is going to have a negative impact. Remember, it's an investment that people are doing. So when they make income, just like someone has invested in shares and he has made gains, the person will pay tax. We should see some, impact on people, but I don't think that this is going to significantly distract people from taking the gain. But trust me, people will continue to invest and they will make the returns. What we could do is that to take care of the poor, we could have set a threshold, maybe 2,000, 2,500, and say, if you win above that one, then we're not going to tax you. That is the best approach you could have done.
In Africa, if you look at the youth, most of them are not working. So the monies that has been that is given to you to feed yourself because you need certain things. For example, you want to buy a football boot, you want to buy books, you want to buy jerseys and other stuff. So your parents will not give you 100 cedis to buy a Messi jersey, an Argentine jersey. So definitely you need to get money to do that, and you engage in betting. So betting in Africa is purposely the youth that do it. The magnate in society are less in betting, but in Africa it is the youth, and the African youth are mostly poor. That is why I said it is to weaken the African youth.
You've been betting for almost 13 years now. Just look at the wins and the losses. Run me through how has been the experience with respect to the wins and the losses.
You see, it is not proportional. You lose more than gaining, and if you are to gain more than losing, then the betting companies will definitely collapse. So the people who lose are more than the people who gain. So have gained less as compared to the amount have invested in betting. I think it's a lazy approach in the sense that if the government, so if they think there are more revenues in betting, I think they should take our reserves to bet power and stake on Ghana Premier League and see if they will win. If they lose, then it means people are losing. If they win, then it means people are winning. Okay, so it is the government. It is just a lazy man approach, and I think this is analogous to the e-levy. Just that you've not done anything for me. For the last 4 years, I've not seen anything that the government has done that I have benefited. I've not seen it. So to invest in betting, okay, and for you to come and take 10% of what I've won, forgetting that I've lost an amount that cannot be said. So I think the government is lazy here, and the government just want to cripple the African youth supporting the white man. You see, the only reason why some of us bet, okay, it gives hope that you have 10 cedis and you invest it in bet, and you know by 8 p.m. after Barcelona is done playing, you have like 200, 300 cedis somewhere for you to know that Master Basa say betting, or you get it. That is the only advantage in betting. It gives hope. Apart from the hope, I don't see any advantage in betting again. So this betting issue has reduced crime, has reduced the rate at which youth will enter into armed robbery and also frauding.
The withholding tax deduction, according to the Ghana Revenue Authority, applies to winnings paid or payable by private lotto operators, sports betting operators, casino operators, route operators, remote interactive game operators, operators of marketing promotions, and operators of other games of chance. James Chance reports for Joy Business.
So you've heard the varied views. I don't know what you think, but like I mentioned, to help us have further discussions on this is Dr. Eric Boati-Yadom, a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Accounting and Finance at the UPSA. Good morning to you, Doc, and thank you so much for your time this morning. So we've heard arguments made for and against the introduction of the betting tax. Let's take it one step at a time. Those who engage in betting say, for example, this is an investment. Why are you taxing me on my returns? And if you are so interested in what I make, why is it that taxing the companies is not enough for you? Because according to them, they lose more than they win. And so the companies are surviving because not everybody wins the bet and they're making money off of them. So if these companies are paying their taxes and you still cannot make enough to survive on, what makes you think that the little wins that I make, your 10% deduction, would make any difference? Your thoughts on that?
Thank you, Dennis, and good morning to your viewers and listeners. Yes, I think we have to put the issue in context, and I've heard some debate that it is a way to check the youth to check young people from betting. You know, I think the motive of government is more economical than social, because the government estimates to make about 1.2 million Ghana cedis from betting. You know, and also in the past 10 years, Ghana has more betting companies than even Nigeria and South Africa. Ghana News Agency reports that there are over 30 betting companies. So if the government has a moral concern, the number of licensing would have been reduced.
Right.
You know, so it means that this government believes in betting, and it sees betting as an avenue of making money. So having granted a lot of license to these betting companies, government is taxing the company, like you mentioned, and 10% now has been introduced to the betting winnings. Now, what has happened is that, you see, this even 20% that the government is imposing on the gross gaming revenue, in a way, the betting company will find a way to push it to the ordinary poor young people who are into betting. And depending on the incidence of tax, they are going to pay more than the 10%. We shouldn't forget that this betting is done on mobile money, and mobile money charges will apply to them. And the next thing is another 10% on the betting. I think it is not fair approach. It is not fair because when you look at other jurisdictions where they do this type of betting, like the US will tax your winning, and the company is not taxed. In the UK, they tax the company and not the punter, the one who is taking the lottery. So it is important that government, in the quest of raising money through taxation and all these avenues, should have a concern, about how the average Ghanaian is going to, the impact on the average Ghanaian, and to state that there's a research by TJM on the betting industry in Ghana, and the research says that about 41.5% of Ghanaians are involved in betting. So these are the large people rely on betting, and those who are into betting, about 74% do betting purely for economic reasons, because there's no job, and you end up taxing so much. So I do not think that the government will use the 10% in a way that will that will lead to the benefit of those that are taking the lottery. And for economic reasons, I think that the 10% is also too high for punters. I should say.
Does this appear a desperate move by government, since you've established the fact that this may not be for a moral reason but purely economic? The 10% rate at which government is taxing the wins of punters, do you think that it smells of desperation?
Yeah, obviously, you could say that the government is trying to find every avenue possible to raise money, and we should be expecting price of goods and services to go up by about 20% due to excise duties that have been implemented. This 10% is a move by the government as part of the IMF conditionalities, in the way of raising money. But you see, government should begin to rethink about the avenue of raising money. There are two ways to it. Number one, we've been talking about for some time now about cutting off your expenditure. And you see, there are certain decisions government takes, and they are caught in the middle. That makes them to take another decision that puts the ordinary Ghanaian into difficulty. For example, when government took the decision in 2018 to create more regions, that is when the size of government started increasing. You see, if we increase the size of district, what it means is that you may have to put up district officers, and you have to put up district in the way to be able to run the government machinery. And to run a one district, you need between 8 to 15 million Ghana cedis to run a district. So if you multiply or you increase the number of districts, invariably, the size of local government has increased, and the average district spends not less than 30 to 35% of its revenue on paying what we call salaries of employees, and putting up structures. And government is in a way, you have duplicated efforts, and by duplicating effort, you are going to spend more. So the way of taxing, I do not think is the best way to go. And government need to think through its approach where, for example, by cutting down expenditure. One way to make profit is, number one, you can increase your sales. And number two, you can reduce your expenditure. Government is intending to increase sales through rising taxes or revenue by increasing taxes. Whilst government is forgetting that another approach is to cut down expenditure by trying to reduce your size. And the reduction of the size should not end with reducing ministers, but the structure of the governance, especially in the local governance level, is very critical that we look at it. And I don't think this 10% will make a lot of difference. And government should also expect that the taxpayers of this 10% will be thinking about alternatives of how they can go around it. Whether they can have a foreign account, they can bet directly in foreign companies, whichever way. Just the same way that Ghanaians found a way of going around the e-levy, and that the e-levy didn't realize the quantum of revenue that was expected. It's the same way I'm expecting punters to go around this 10% to be able to still enjoy their game.
Right. So, this has been implemented. Do you see it affecting the betting business in Ghana finally?
So if we go to Kenya introduced 20% tax in somewhere 2018, 19 there, and by 2020, some of the big betting companies have moved out of the industry, like the Sports Pesa and Bet Inc. They moved out of the Kenyan market. So these taxes are expected to bring a certain effect, will have a certain effect. Now, they reduced it from 20% in 2020 to 7.5%. And now they are thinking of taking it back to 20%, because when the tax was too high as 20%, some of the industry moved out and the revenue that was expected declined. So in the same way, we're expecting a decline in the number of people that are betting. The companies are likely to reduce, just like in the case of Kenya. So we are expecting the market to react to this 10% taxes.
Thank you for your time this morning, Dr. Eric Boakye-Yiadom is a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Accounting and Finance, sharing some very interesting details with us on what the future holds as we started implementing the 10% tax on betting here in Ghana. You're watching the AM show. Please stay with me. When I come back, I get interactive with you. Hello there. Thank you so much for staying on the AM show. And look who joined me. Samuel Kojo himself. And he's been holding it down for us here on the AM show. Such a great addition to the team. Thank you so much, Samuel. And we've been talking about betting, right? And it's interesting, the kind of analysis, especially the young people who are engaged in it, tell us about it. I don't know if you agree with Dr. Boakye-Yiadom, who strongly believes that, like some have suggested, this is to deter young people from engaging in betting. He believes it's not. He thinks it's more of an economic decision than a moral one. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's economic, really. Government wants to raise revenue, and that's why it is, taxing this sports betting. So I'm not sure it's more about morals. It's about raising funds to manage the economy.
Well, let's see how it goes. He cites the example of Kenya and how the introduction of a tax there led to, some companies folding up, and what it eventually even means for what government is able to accrue, even from the businesses that pay the tax. But Samuel, there's actually something interesting also happening. As we speak, we have ECOWAS security chiefs arriving in Accra. We know that there's a very crucial meeting that is supposed to deliberate on the way forward for the plan of ECOWAS to invade Niger. So this meeting is at Burma Camp here in Accra, and as you can see, we are poised, we are ready. We just need to keep our fingers crossed to know what is going to happen or what the conclusion of that meeting will be. But we've heard from the analysts, haven't we?
Yeah. I mean, the analysts have said that that it is not the way to go. But I've had another person who said, well, you still need to keep your army on a standby. So the negotiations and mediations are still ongoing, but you need your army to be on standby. So these chiefs will discuss strategy. If we're going to go, how do we go? And so I'm sure the 2 days meeting that is happening today and tomorrow would let us understand how the whole thing will be.
Definitely. And you see, this is lives at stake, because once you invade Niger, the way ECOWAS plans to, we've heard from Mali and Burkina Faso who say that we are going to give them our support. You understand? So let's take you now to Burma Camp, where this crucial meeting is happening. As you see in your shots, the security chiefs are arriving and exchanging pleasantries.
And so for those of you monitoring on the Joy News channel, we'll be bringing you up to speed with all the action and what you need to know about the event today. But just a background to what you are viewing now on your screens. We know that at the end of last month, the military regime or the presidential guard in the Republic of Niger staged a military coup deposing the democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum. Now, after that exercise, the sub-regional body, ECOWAS, alarmed at the increasing rate of military takeovers, decided to opt for all options, as they call it. As part of the options, they decided that there was first of all going to be an attempt to reach out to the military team in Niger, but the official statement that we received from ECOWAS pointed out that that team, including General Abdusalami Abubakar, were repelled by the team and the diplomatic mission that was sent together, which also had the African Union, the United Nations, and also representatives from ECOWAS. So after that, hostile decision by the military junta, the decision by the sub-regional body ECOWAS now is to activate a standby force which will now move at any time the order is given. And so what we have now is a furtherance of that decision, where we are seeing the military chiefs come here, converge in Accra, and to hold a meeting once more that may further aim at operationalizing this whole decision to activate an ECOWAS standby force. So we're right at the Burma Hall, where we're seeing military chiefs from across the West Africa sub-region. What you see now is the Guard of Honor, which will be receiving the dignitaries that will be showing up here at the Burma camp. Already I need to point out that a number of dignitaries have arrived. We can confirm that the ECOWAS representative for Ghana, that's Ambassador Babagana Wakil, has also showed up here. And once that has happened, it's an indication that the occasion is set for the military chiefs to walk in. We'll be taking you inside and also giving you a feel shortly about how the arrangements are and what the proceedings will look like for today. But if you're watching us now, live visuals that we're giving to you from the Burma Hall, it's at the Burma camp, which is serving as of course, the base for that engagement for West African chiefs from across the sub-region. This and what you see now is that Guard of Honor, which has been set up to receive all the dignitaries and the military chiefs that will be arriving here at the Burma camp.
Have it. Our live report from Burma camp for you. We're still there. Please stay with us. We'll bring you more on that very crucial meeting between heads of security chiefs in ECOWAS on the Niger crisis and what the way forward is. Our man Blessed Suga is there for us, and we will be hopefully receiving some more briefing from the military on what this meeting is entirely about. Apologies we couldn't get interactive with you because we had to cross over to that live event, which we'll be bringing more to you of. So, Samuel, a morning it has been.
It has been an incredible morning, and it foretells that the day will be incredible as well.
Sure.
We have some friends at Ghana Gas who are watching us now.
Oh, okay.
Odifo Nkansa, Paul Yankee, Chairman Kwakwe and Chairman Alamu, as well as Asase, all of them at Ghana Gas.
All right, hello to all of you. Thank you so much for staying with us, and we appreciate your company. But that'll be it for the AM show. We'll be back with more news. You know, this is your most credible news source. We'll bring you more. Please stay.